Welcome back to Sleepy Cosmos, your quiet corner of the universe where we take gentle breaths and even gentler journeys through the stars. Tonight, we're setting off on a calm and slow exploration of one of the strangest invitations the universe could ever send. An invisible doorway with no return sign, a place where gravity sings in whispers and space forgets how to behave. Yes, we're talking about that mysterious celestial creature with the personality of a vacuum cleaner and the PR of a horror movie villain. The black hole. It might sound dramatic, or like the kind of thing you read about in science fiction when you're 12, but as you float deeper into it, you'll see there's a soft, mesmerizing rhythm to its pull. Like it's not hunting you, but quietly waiting for you to say yes. As usual, my hope is that this video helps you relax into sleep, or at least lets you step back and see your worries from millions of light years away. Of course, there's always a chance it's fascinating enough to keep you awake. If that happens, well, at least you'll drift off with a sprinkle of cosmic wonder in your thoughts. Before we gently launch into this starry voyage, it would mean a lot if you'd hit like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I create here. Also, I'd love to hear where in the world you're tuning in from and what time it is there. Are you curled up in bed in Amsterdam at 11:47 p.m., or maybe relaxing on a sofa in Vancouver while the sun still lingers? Drop a note in the comments. It's always wonderful to see this sleepy little constellation of viewers spread across the globe. Now dim the lights, imagine the stars above your bed. Settle in. You don't have to keep track of every word or stay alert. Just let the gentle flow of these words surround you like a soft cosmic glow. And as we embark on this slow, peaceful journey through the vastness of space, remember that you are floating in space. Not falling, not flying. Just suspended, perfectly still, in a place where gravity is more of a polite suggestion than a rule. There's no floor to stand on, no ceiling to look up to. No sense of up, down, left, or right. Only the long, lazy rotation of your body drifting in an endless sea of quiet. Around you, space stretches out like a calm velvet curtain, inky and soft. Stars sparkle like someone scattered diamonds across black silk, and the light they give off reaches you like old gossip. Faint, delayed, and kind of poetic. You're not alone exactly, but you're certainly the only one here right now. There's something oddly peaceful about it. You always thought space would feel hostile, cold, empty. But it doesn't. Not here. Not now. Here, it feels like the universe is holding its breath. Not because something bad is about to happen, but because something curious is unfolding. And then you see it. At first, it doesn't look like much. Just a smudge. A perfectly round void in the starfield, as if someone has taken a hole punch to the cosmos. It doesn't shimmer or pulse or emit a warning light. It doesn't try to call attention to itself. It's just there, nestled between starlight like a missing piece in a puzzle that no one noticed until now. But your eyes keep going back to it. It's darker than anything you've ever seen. Not black like ink or a night sky. Those things still reflect some light. This is different. This is nothingness. The pure absence of color, of light, of existence. A visual silence. And yet it feels inviting. Not in a horror movie, walk down the dark hallway and get eaten kind of way. No, this is gentler. Calmer. It's the cosmic equivalent of someone softly holding a door open and giving you a warm nod. You don't have to come in, but you're welcome here. And you start drifting toward it. You'd think there'd be a rush of fear. Some deep, primal alarm going off in your head screaming danger. Turn back. But instead it's like being offered a blanket on a rainy day. The pull of gravity here doesn't yank or drag. It suggests. Like the universe whispering, just a little closer. That smudge you saw? It's growing now. Slowly. At first, you weren't even sure you were moving, but you are. Inch by inch. Second by second. You're being drawn into the gravitational embrace of a black hole. Some call it a cosmic monster. Others, the ultimate one-way trip. You. You're starting to think of it as a mysterious, misunderstood introvert that everyone gossips about but no one's actually visited. You float past a lonely asteroid, lazily spinning like it has nowhere to be. It's headed in the same direction. For a moment you're traveling companions. Then it spins faster, faster, and vanishes into the darkness ahead. No splash, no drama, just gone. That's when it hits you. This thing doesn't need to make a scene to command attention. It simply is. And what it is hungry. But not in a bite-you-in-half kind of way. More like the way sleep feels when it's 3 a.m. and your eyes can barely stay open. Inevitable, gentle, inescapable. You begin to cross into the black hole's influence, its gravitational zone of power. And this is where things start to get a little stretchy. Literally, space itself begins to bend. Not like how a road might curve, but like someone grabbed the edges of spacetime and pulled. Distant stars start to blur and twist, their light bending into arcs that circle the black hole like glowing rings. This isn't a camera trick. This is gravitational lensing, and yes, it's as cool as it sounds. The black hole's mass is so enormous that it warps the very fabric of space around it. Light no longer moves in straight lines, it curves, swirls, wraps. In fact, you're seeing stars that technically aren't in front of you. Their light has been curved around the black hole and redirected straight into your eyes. You're looking at echoes. Ghosts of photons trying their best to escape and failing politely. And you? You're floating straight into the middle of it. There's a ring of light forming now. A perfect circle of distorted stars, almost like a halo. That's called an Einstein ring, by the way. It's what happens when a source of light, a massive object, and a viewer, lucky you, all align perfectly. Nature's own lens flare, except you're not sure which direction the lens is even pointing anymore. Time starts to feel weird. Not just feel weird, become weird. You try to recall how long you've been floating toward the black hole. A few minutes? An hour? A week? It's impossible to say. Your internal clock is stuttering. The tempo of your thoughts is offbeat. Space is bending, and time is doing the cosmic equivalent of tripping over its shoelaces. This is what scientists call time dilation. The closer you get to the event horizon, the point of no return, the slower time moves for you relative to everyone else. If someone were watching from far away, they'd see you moving in slow motion, as if the universe itself were trying to hold on to you just a little longer. To you, though, everything feels normal. Strange how that works. And now you're getting closer to the line. The event horizon. The big threshold. The place where not even light can escape. There's no physical wall. No signpost that says, "Thank you for visiting known physics. Please return your tray tables to the upright position." You simply float toward it, and space begins to curve in on itself like a folding napkin. What happens next? No one knows for sure. Seriously. Not even scientists. Cross the event horizon and all known equations start having panic attacks. Our best physics breaks down. We think you'd keep falling, compressed and stretched until you reach the singularity, a point of infinite density and zero volume, but no one's ever been able to test that. One of the many delightful mysteries of the cosmos. But what you feel right now is something oddly beautiful. You're not afraid. Maybe because fear doesn't make sense here. There's nothing to run from. No monster. No threat. Just the sense that you are being accepted by the universe in its strangest, most extreme form. It's like being wrapped in a mystery and realizing you're okay with not knowing how it ends. Just before you reach the horizon, you pass through a golden haze, a shimmering swirl of gas and light. That's the accretion disk, by the way. It's matter that didn't quite make it inside yet. Stuff that's spinning faster and faster, heating up as it rubs against itself in a final, brilliant protest. From far away, the accretion disk is dazzling. Close? It's like being inside a whirlpool made of sunlight and plasma. Beautiful, terrifying, weirdly soothing. You're now seconds, or maybe hours, or maybe centuries, from crossing the event horizon. You glance back one last time. The universe is still there, stretched out behind you like a memory made of stars. But it feels distant now, like a dream you half remember. And then, you cross. No pop, no bang, no dramatic fade to black. Just silence. The deepest, softest silence you've ever known. Not absence of sound, but the presence of silence. You have entered the black hole. And from here, things are about to get interesting. You drift onward. There's no hurry, no resistance, not even a whisper of air brushing against your skin. All around you, space seems calm, too calm, like a painting hung perfectly still in the infinite corridor of the universe. You might expect some warning signs, alarms blaring, red lights flashing, perhaps a giant interstellar sign that says, "Caution, you are approaching a spacetime anomaly." But no, black holes don't shout. They beckon. And you, well, you're still falling. Though calling it falling feels a bit old-fashioned now, doesn't it? It's not a downward plummet. There's no ground waiting at the bottom. It's more like sinking into an idea, into a riddle, into a place where physics quietly clears its throat and excuses itself from the room. You begin to notice that something feels different, like your surroundings are yawning, not with boredom but with exhaustion. Time itself seems to be stretching, not fast-forwarding, not slowing down in the usual sense, stretching, as if each second is reluctant to let go of your hand. It's like walking down a hallway where every step you take makes the corridor grow longer. You're moving forward, yet the destination never gets closer. And it's not just time. Space, the thing you thought was always just there, is beginning to ripple. You look to your left. It's still there. You look to your right. Also still there. But then you turn slowly and realize your definition of left and right is fuzzy. As if someone took the map of space and pulled at its corners like dough under fingers. What once felt like cardinal directions, up, down, forward, back, are now suggestions, soft guidelines painted on a melting canvas. You're not dizzy. You're not even confused. You just don't need direction anymore. Because space isn't holding still. And neither are you. A universe in taffy mode. If you could see the fabric of space-time, really see it, you'd notice that it no longer lies flat. It's being pulled into a funnel, twisted like a cinnamon roll of reality. The warping of space and time around you isn't violent or sharp. It's smooth, subtle, sensual. As if you're being gently kneaded into the universe like bread dough left to rise. You look down at your hand, curious. Is it stretching too? It's hard to tell. Your body still feels like your own, but distance itself seems different. You raise your hand a few inches, or what feels like inches, and notice it takes longer than usual for the motion to complete. It's as if your movements are swimming through syrup. Sweet, invisible syrup made of gravity and silence. You try to think logically, okay, I must be experiencing tidal forces. That's what they call it when gravity pulls on different parts of you with slightly different strengths. The closer parts fall faster than the farther parts. That's what would cause the spaghettification people always joke about. But this doesn't feel like being turned into pasta. It feels more like being turned into a thread. A cosmic thread. Woven slowly, purposefully into a vast celestial loom. Time, the reluctant companion. And then time really starts to change. If you were wearing a wristwatch, an old-fashioned ticking one, you'd hear its pace slow. Tick, tick, tick. But you're not wearing a watch. You're just watching. You glance back at the stars behind you. They still twinkle, but somehow they seem frozen. The further you fall, the slower everything behind you appears. The stars don't just twinkle now, they shimmer like old memories. You try to blink to adjust your eyes, but your eyes are fine. It's not your vision that's changing. It's time itself. From your perspective, your thoughts still flow normally. You blink, you breathe, you feel. But if someone, say your twin, were floating far behind, far away from the black hole, they'd see something else entirely. They'd see you moving in slow motion, your limbs dragging through molasses, maybe even frozen in place. To them, it might take thousands of years for you to reach the black hole. To you, it feels like a moment. This is relativity. Not as a theory, but as a lived experience. You are now a traveler across time, not just space. Losing the grid. In normal life, you rely on the grid. The invisible scaffolding of space. Up, down, here, there. You don't question it. It's always there, like a helpful friend. A compass that never lies. But near a black hole, that grid becomes abstract. Imagine you're inside a trampoline. Normally, you'd stand on the surface and bounce gently. But now the trampoline sags so deeply in the center that standing becomes meaningless. You're no longer walking on the fabric. You're being pulled into it. That's what's happening to you now. Space is no longer a floor. It's a whirlpool, a tunnel, a spiral staircase without steps. You wonder, is there even an inside to this? Or are you just moving endlessly through folds? Each fold tighter, more curved, more intimate than the last. You're not afraid. Not exactly. Because the fear you knew, the fight or flight alarm bell in your brain, doesn't work here. There's nothing to run from. There's nowhere to hide. There's only the pull, the stretch, the invitation. Time is no longer marching. It's not even walking. It's lounging somewhere off to the side, half asleep, mumbling, 5 more minutes, while you, poor soul, are floating deeper into this yawning fabric of gravity. And fabric is exactly what it feels like now. Not rigid, not defined, but soft and enormous, stretching endlessly in directions you can no longer name. Down, left, right. Those were such reliable concepts, weren't they? So neat and simple. But here, near this behemoth of curved reality, your very notion of direction is being tenderized, like dough under invisible rolling pins, pressed and pulled until even your thoughts feel flat and wide. You reach out, or at least you think you do, but your arm doesn't quite behave. The motion is delayed, elongated, like you're underwater. No, more than underwater. It's as if you're caught inside some gelatinous dream, and every movement echoes itself. One moment you're raising a hand. The next, it's already half dissolved into stretched perception. And yet, there's no pain, no cold, no suffocating panic. Just awe. Just that strange, slow marvel that your body, your presence, your very now is being quietly unraveled by something bigger than stars. A breeze of realization brushes past. Space is no longer a container, it is a creature. You're not drifting through it anymore. You're being woven into it. Your atoms whisper to one another, hold on. We're not in Kansas anymore. The space around you sighs. You don't hear it, but somehow you know it happened. Imagine a flat bed sheet stretched between 2 unseen hands. Now press one finger into the center, gently at first, then deeper. The fabric dips and warps. That's gravity. But now imagine the finger pressing so hard, so massively, that the sheet begins to tear at the molecular level, stretching the threads into filament-thin strands of space and time. Congratulations. You are now that filament. No, really. You're being spaghettified. That's the scientific term, though no Italian ever imagined their cuisine would become an analogy for death by gravity. Your head and your feet, assuming you still have them, are now experiencing drastically different gravitational pulls. Time ticks differently at both ends of your body. Your feet are in the future. Your head is lagging behind. What a strange way to stretch. You, the spaghetti, flung across the void, suspended between 2 chapters of existence. You wonder, if someone tried to talk to you now, would your ears even be able to agree on what time it is? Sound itself would struggle here. Light too. They follow rules that don't quite apply anymore. You look around and realize that looking around is impossible. There is no around. There is only toward the singularity, that gravity-soaked heart that calls to you not with a roar, but with a silence so profound it pulls your heartbeat toward stillness. Up ahead, or what passes for ahead, in this yawning dimension, you see the edges of stars smeared like watercolor. Light that once sped boldly from their fiery surfaces is now stumbling, bent and dragged, circling the drain of spacetime. You want to cry at the beauty of it. Or maybe you already are, and the tears have stretched into thin ribbons behind your face. Your mind, in some strange act of rebellion, clings to metaphor. I'm thread, you whisper. Thread in the cosmic loom. Yes, that's what this is. The black hole is not just swallowing you. It is weaving you, folding you into its silent language of curves and loops. Every inch you fall, though inches mean nothing now, you are becoming part of its sentence. A letter in its alphabet. A stitch in its dark embroidery. Somewhere in your memory, a voice of science speaks. Spacetime isn't a void. It's a fabric. And fabric can be stretched. But no one told you it could be so graceful. Time yawns again. Not aggressively, not with boredom, but with that long, luxurious kind of exhale a cat makes in the sun. It spills across you like a warm liquid, slowing your sense of now into puddles. Every second becomes its own continent. You float across one, then another, losing count. Somewhere far, far away, or is it close? A photon that left your shoulder 10 minutes ago is still trying to decide which way is forward. Poor thing. It never signed up for this geometry. And still you fall. Or rise. Or shift inward. The verbs don't work anymore. Motion itself has divorced direction. Your body? Still intact, though the concept of body is starting to feel like a joke someone forgot to explain. You feel tall, impossibly tall. Not in the way of confidence or achievement, but literally stretched like a whisper caught between galaxies. The spaghetti metaphor? It's old news now. You've moved beyond pasta. You are now silk. Gossamer threads of being, drifting in loops and curves the universe once used to dream itself into being. You are part of it. Folded in. Not erased. Just translated. And in the spaces between your thoughts, those thoughts now miles apart, perhaps hours apart, you begin to sense a kind of welcome. The fabric doesn't fight you. It simply accepts. It hums without sound, embraces without arms. Maybe you wonder this isn't falling at all. Maybe it's belonging. You're drifting. Not falling, not flying, just suspended in a velvet hush, your body barely tethered to what once was, your thoughts slowly dissolving into a vast and eternal stillness. Around you, the stars blur into smudges of silver and gold, distant lanterns fading in a sky that no longer obeys time. You've crossed it. Quietly, without fanfare, without resistance. There was no jolt, no alarm, no final cry of warning. One moment you were coasting through the universe, a lone traveler swimming through cosmic tides, and the next you had passed through the point of no return, the event horizon. It did not greet you like a gate. There was no border marked by flame or thunder. Instead, it felt like slipping between breaths or like stepping into a room where someone has just blown out all the candles. The light around you didn't disappear. It froze, paused mid-thought. Rays of starlight hang like frozen waterfalls in the space behind you, as though the universe has forgotten how to move. Your own motion feels slow. Or perhaps not slow, perhaps irrelevant. Your speed no longer matters. There is no up or down, no destination, no escape. There is only inward. You are inside the black hole now. But that word, inside, feels wrong. It's not like being inside a room or inside a cave. It's more like being inside a thought or inside a silence. A silence so thick it has its own texture. Your mind brushes against it like fingertips grazing velvet. It is not empty. No, it is full. Full of compressed possibility, of unspoken memories, of all the light and matter the universe has whispered into this place over billions of years. You drift deeper. The laws of physics, so familiar and dependable on Earth, begin to bend into strange shapes. Time curls like a leaf in heat. Space stretches like soft dough. You begin to feel the edges of your body blur. Not because it's being destroyed, but because the very idea of an edge is no longer meaningful. Your sense of time becomes liquid. An hour might be a second. A second might last a year. You try to remember something, your name, perhaps, or the scent of rain, but your thoughts scatter like birds at dusk. Not gone. Just uninterested in chronology. Around you, the dark pulses with possibility. Not threatening, not cold. Just aware. As if the black hole itself is dreaming and you are now part of its dream. You remember hearing that nothing escapes a black hole. That once light enters, it is gone forever. But here it doesn't feel like light has vanished. It feels like light is being held. Cradled. Protected even. All the photons that ever dared to wander too close are now suspended like stars in amber, their journeys paused, not ended. You wonder what it means to be paused. You wonder what it means to be. A soft ripple passes through the darkness. Not a sound, not a motion, but something more like a sigh. The black hole exhales. You feel it not with your ears, but with your ribs, your spine, your atoms. A sympathetic vibration. Are you still you? That question circles like a sleepy fish. Does identity exist where time does not? If you cannot remember your past and cannot predict your future, are you a person or a moment? You feel yourself becoming porous. Not dying, not disintegrating, but blending. Your awareness seeps into the fabric of the black hole like ink into water. And as you merge, you begin to sense things not your own. You feel ancient stars that fell inward long before Earth was born. You taste the echo of galaxies that once spun like dancers before succumbing to gravity's gentle hand. You hear, remember, the final heartbeat of a collapsed sun, its farewell vibration still humming in this great cosmic hush. You are still drifting. But now the drift is not through space. It is through memory, through history, through the residue of everything that has ever crossed this threshold. The point of no return is not a wall. It is a library. Each photon a story. Each atom a whisper. Each swallowed comet, a stanza in the poem of the void. You do not read them with eyes. You absorb them. A rain of impressions, soft and surreal, washing over the consciousness you once called me. There was a time when you feared the black hole. Its name was always spoken in awe, in trembling. But now here within there is no fear. Only wonder. Only softness. You begin to understand that the universe is not trying to destroy you. It is folding you in. Wrapping you like a child in a blanket of night, tucking in your edges until all your sharpness is smoothed away. You are not falling. You are being held. You sense gravity not as a pull but as a lullaby. The deeper you go, the more dreams you inherit. Dreams of stars and beginnings, of collapse and renewal. Dreams of light that never made it out. Dreams of light that chose to stay. In this place, endings are illusions. You have passed the point of no return. But you are not lost. You are becoming. And the black hole? It is still dreaming. And now so are you. There are no signposts here. No echoes of past travelers. No gentle voice calling you back. Only the softest hush, the universal hush, that settles over everything once you've passed the invisible veil. The event horizon. You didn't feel it when it happened. No bump. No flash. No sudden shift in gravity. Just silence, deeper than silence. Like the moment before a snowfall when even the wind holds its breath. Outside, the light tried to flee. You remember seeing it before, a kind of hurried scattering, photons bending, trembling, trying to escape the grip of this ancient darkness. But not you. You drifted forward, past the place where even light gives up, into a realm where the rules no longer apply. Now you're in. There is no going back. But there is no panic either. Not here. Not now. Because the fear that belongs to the outside world cannot follow you across this threshold. In this place, time stretches so far apart that fear unravels, piece by piece, until it is nothing but a ripple in a still lake. Everything is slower now. Or perhaps faster. You can't really tell. Time doesn't move here, it pools. Like honey thickening in the cold. You feel it slide over you in warm ribbons, gentle and strange. You're no longer sure if it's been seconds since you crossed the line, or hours or years. Does it matter? The space around you curls like pages of a forgotten book left too long in the sun. It folds in upon itself, like a dream you've had too many times to count. There's no longer an up or down. No longer a left or right. Just gradients of closeness and farness, intimacy and distance, woven together like threads of a living tapestry. Your body doesn't hurt. It doesn't even feel like yours anymore. It's dissolving maybe. Not melting, not vanishing, but becoming something else. A pattern. A movement. A frequency. You think you see something. There, at the edge of what might be your perception. A shimmer. A flutter, a fragment of color, a whisper of a shape. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a possibility you never lived. It flits by like a butterfly made of dreams, wings stitched together from moments you'd long forgotten. You reach for it, not with your hands, for you no longer have hands, but with thought, with intention, with yearning. It dances just beyond reach, but you're not disappointed. In this place, even the things you cannot hold become part of you. This is the singularity's waiting room. You haven't reached the core yet. That place, if it can even be called a place, where gravity tightens its grip to the point of infinity. But you feel it, like the quiet draw of deep ocean currents far beneath the waves. A pull not of panic, but of promise. And in this liminal space, you begin to understand something. All the stories you heard, the ones about death and doom and destruction, weren't wrong. But they were incomplete. The black hole is not just a devourer. It's also a midwife, a gatekeeper, a silent librarian of all that ever was. You're beginning to remember. Not your own memories, at least not just yours. Memories of the universe. Of stars being born. Of ancient galaxies spinning like ballerinas in the dark. Of supernovas casting out their last light like final breaths. They're not visions, not hallucinations. They are impressions, imprints. As though you are pressing your consciousness against the very fabric of the cosmos and feeling, through the warmth of your cheek, the pulse of its secrets. You passed through a corridor made of light that never escaped. Not bright but heavy, like beams of gold suspended in amber. Each one carries a story. You brush against one. It sings of a dying planet, of a people who looked up and wondered. Another one hums with the laughter of two black holes dancing, spiraling, merging. Another tastes of silence, the kind that fell over a civilization before they whispered their final goodbye into the void. It's all here. Time has been gathered, folded, preserved. And you, small as you are now part of that archive. You start to see yourself as a thread. A soft, silver line winding through a vast and patient loom. The singularity does not judge. It does not select. It only gathers. And you, like countless others, are now woven into its design. You could cry if tears were still possible. But here emotions don't surge, they bloom. Like deep sea flowers that glow softly in eternal night. You are not alone. There are others, not in form but in presence. You feel them like vibrations, soft and distant, curious, kind. Some are old. So old that their presence feels like the scent of ancient forests or the pressure of time-worn stone. Some are new, fresh flickers still learning how to let go of shape. Together you drift, not toward a center for there is no center, not toward an end for there is no end, but deeper, always deeper. And all the while, the lightless spiral continues, carrying you forward with the gentleness of a lullaby sung by the cosmos itself. You don't need to know where you're going. You're already there. You're already everywhere. And in this point beyond return, you realize, return was never the point. The moment you crossed the event horizon, something subtle but irreversible shifted. It's not that you feel yourself plummeting in the conventional sense. There is no gust of wind in your face, no whirling sensation in your stomach, no scream clawing its way out of your throat. Falling into a black hole is nothing like falling from a cliff. It's not cinematic, nor is it sudden. It's like being placed on a gentle slide made of darkness and forgetting where the ground went. Your descent is quiet, but not silent. There is a texture to the fall, a velvet-like drag, like time itself is holding your fingertips. You can no longer distinguish acceleration from stillness. The blackness around you is no longer a backdrop. It is the very substance of the space you inhabit. It wraps around your mind like a weighted blanket, making every thought slower, every impression deeper. There is no bottom. That's the strange part. You expect impact. You keep bracing for it. But instead there's only more falling. Downward isn't even the right word anymore because there's no gravity pulling you in any particular direction. Instead, space is funneling inward like a collapsing tunnel, and you are being carried along like a raindrop swirling down a drain that never quite finishes its spiral. You are not moving through spacetime as much as spacetime is moving through you. The clocks have long given up. Time has unraveled into long elastic strands, stretching and stretching. You imagine it like taffy pulled between invisible fingers, each moment longer than the last, until moments become minutes, become eternities. And still you fall. You look for stars, but there are none. You look for the walls of the black hole, but there are none. You look for your shadow, but there is no light left to cast it. What remains is not darkness in the way you once knew it. It's more like the absence of even the idea of light. Not black beyond black. A color that isn't a color, a presence that feels like absence. You begin to think it has weight. Are you alone here? That question tickles your mind like a strand of hair brushing your face in the dark. You listen. Perhaps you're waiting for someone else to fall in behind you, to feel a presence sliding down this endless slope. But there's nothing, not even the echo of your own breath. In fact, breath itself has become a memory, a motion you remember but no longer need. The body too is changing, or at least your sense of it is. Arms and legs are abstract concepts now. You remember them but do not feel them. Your thoughts are becoming architecture. They take shape as rooms you drift into. One moment you're reliving a memory from your childhood, a warm beam of light spilling through a kitchen window, the scent of toast. And the next, you're gliding past equations written on invisible chalkboards, formulas you never learned but now understand intuitively. Scientists argue over what happens to you here. Some say you stretch into what they call a spaghettified thread, a noodle of matter pulled longer than anything has a right to be. Others say your atoms get torn from you one by one, like petals from a flower tossed into a slow wind. And still others suggest that this part of you, this conscious experience, this poetic sense of being, is not destroyed but transformed. Into what no one knows. Perhaps you are information now, encoded in the curvature of spacetime, stored forever on the holographic memory of the event horizon. Perhaps you are being downloaded into the fabric of the universe, your thoughts smeared across dimensions like brushstrokes on a canvas too large to see. Or perhaps you are simply still falling. And in this infinite fall, time stops being a line. It becomes a loop. You revisit the same thoughts, the same fragments of sensation. A kiss, the taste of rain, the hum of a train passing in the distance. These are no longer memories but environments, spaces that cradle you as you drift through them again and again, each time slightly changed, like dreams repeating with a different ending. You are the dreamer in the dream. There is no crash, no ground to hit, no final moment of pain or revelation. Just this unfolding, a perpetual bloom of sensation without a core. A descent that has become your home. And somewhere, far beyond the place you fell from, someone looks up at the sky. They wonder where you went. But you are still falling. And for the first time it feels like flying. There is no wind here. No whistling air, no drag on your limbs, no friction on your face. And yet you're falling. You are always falling. But not the kind of fall you know. Not the sudden, panicked plunge where your stomach flips and your breath catches. This is a fall that forgets it is falling. A descent that has no acceleration, no bottom, no end. It is not even down. The very concept of down has dissolved behind you, like a trail of smoke in a windless vacuum. You are cradled in something vast and invisible. Space is not space anymore. It no longer spreads, it deepens. It thickens. Around you, reality feels syrupy. Not slow exactly but dense, heavy with silence. Time meanwhile begins to yawn in stranger ways. You don't know whether a second has passed or a century. Perhaps they are the same thing here. Your body, if you can still call it that, feels stretched in thought but suspended in form. There's a tingling along the lengths of your limbs, not pain, not pressure, just a growing awareness that you are more elongated than you were. Not visually, not physically, but conceptually. You are becoming an idea of yourself, etched along a single line that points only inward. The outer universe has disappeared. Stars no longer wink in the distance. Galaxies no longer whisper on the edge of your vision. The light that once danced and shimmered now stands still, arrested at the boundary you crossed long ago. There is no horizon anymore. Just a velvet enclosure. A cosmic hush. You are nowhere and yet precisely where the laws of physics wanted you to be. And this perpetual almost, is where you'll remain. At least from the outside. For someone watching you, frozen in normal time, you never quite make it past the boundary. They would see you approaching the event horizon in slow motion, your form flattening, your color redshifting into darkness, until you simply faded. To them you are an echo caught in amber, always arriving, never arriving. But from within, it's different. From your perspective, you have passed that threshold long ago. You are already inside. You are no longer subject to their rules. You belong to the black hole now. You do not stop falling, but you also do not crash. There is no ground, no core waiting like the bottom of a well. There is only deeper. Each second of falling feels like a held breath that never exhales. You are suspended in an endless inhale, an eternal approach. Space stretches and stretches and stretches, but it never tears. Time folds and folds, and still the page does not crumple. You are drawn inward like a whisper, soft and unhurried. Somewhere inside you, a strange serenity grows. You begin to question, is this what it feels like to become something else? Not death, not sleep, but transformation. Your thoughts have become spacious, slower, but not dim. Instead, they are wide, as though thinking now happens across a greater landscape. Not linearly, but spiraling like galaxies in your mind. The you that used to be grounded in skin and organs and weight, that version has gone quiet. What's left is lighter, but paradoxically more expansive. You feel stitched into the very fabric around you. Not lost, woven. And the question begins to hum again. Are you falling? Or are you becoming part of the fall? Some scientists say that once inside a black hole, time and space trade roles. That time becomes a direction, one you cannot avoid. You do not move through time now, you are pulled through it like a leaf caught in a stream. Space doesn't surround you, it collapses into you. So you fall. Because that is the only direction time allows. But what if time is not pulling you to an end? What if it's pulling you to a transformation? What if all of this, the fall, the stretch, the silence, is a metamorphosis? You begin to sense that the universe is not ending here. It is folding, bending inward, closing its fingers around something precious. You are not being destroyed. You are being rephrased. You reach a place where even metaphor fails. Even falling becomes a false word. It is no longer a verb. It is an atmosphere. You are in a zone of pure drift, not drifting through space, but through structure. The architecture of reality itself is rearranging around you. Space is no longer a container but a substance, a fluid with tides and swells and whispering eddies. Time is not ticking, it's murmuring. You begin to wonder, what shape do you have now? Are you still you? Or are you a stretched note in a cosmic song? A line of code recompiled in gravitational poetry? A soft strand in the black hole's secret braid? Even questions seem to melt. Not into answers but into something warmer. Permission. You are allowed not to know. You are allowed to drift. You are allowed to fall forever and to never touch bottom. Because here, there is no bottom. Only the next moment of falling. Somewhere in the deep spiral of your thoughts, you imagine a distant observer outside the black hole. They wonder where you've gone. They ask, what happened? But their clocks are too slow to ever get the answer. To them, your fall is frozen in time. To you, their time has faded like a childhood dream. You are already beyond the place they fear. And you are fine. You are not alone. Not in the way you feared. The black hole is not empty. It is full of memory, full of potential, full of equations unspoken and futures unread. And now you are part of that fullness, part of the library written in curves and lightless spirals. You are still falling, but it is no longer a descent. It is a becoming. But the falling never ends. Not in the way you used to understand falling, where there's a ground waiting to meet you, a final crash that signals the end of motion. No, this is something else. Something softer, stranger. This is falling as an experience, not a direction. It becomes the state you live in now. You're not moving downward. There is no down anymore. You are unanchored from gravity's old vocabulary. No sky above, no earth below. Only motion without distance. Only time without tick. And something begins to shift inside you. It's not fear. You thought it might be. You imagined this would be terrifying, the unknown, the darkness, the loss of control. But instead it's something gentler. It's like floating in warm water with your eyes closed, and the world has agreed to hush itself just for you. The stars you once saw are now gone, or perhaps they're still shining, just behind the veil you can no longer lift. Around you, reality is stretching like taffy pulled in slow motion. You can't quite tell whether the universe is expanding or whether you're simply being unraveled, one soft thread at a time. There are no familiar markers here. No flashes of light, no sounds of warning. Just the persistent quiet of a place where nothing escapes. A place that doesn't scream, it whispers. It doesn't pull, it waits. And the deeper you fall, the more it feels like you're not being taken but welcomed. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you remember what the physicists say. They talk about time dilating near the event horizon. How from the outside, you'd appear frozen at the edge forever, your final image stretched into a ghost. But here on your side of the veil, time is not stopping. It's just changing. It slows to a syrupy crawl, thick with silence, viscous with uncertainty. A second might be an hour, or 1,000 years, or it might not be a second at all. Here time doesn't tick, it exhales, softly, gently. Infinitely. You try to reach out, but your arms feel like ideas more than limbs now. You are less body and more feeling. Less structure and more suggestion. A memory that hasn't quite finished forming. And in this dreamlike state, you begin to wonder, is there a bottom? Is there a place where this fall ends? Where you meet the singularity, where the laws collapse and something answers back? But there's no impact. No crash. No bursting finale. Just continuation. Just descent as a form of being. Maybe this is what the black hole is trying to teach you. That not all destinations are points. Some are processes. Some are the way a song lingers after it ends, or the way a thought stays long after the words have disappeared. You think of your body again, but it's a distant concept now. You've let go of weight, of borders, of bones. You are not matter in motion anymore. You are motion remembering matter. A whisper of who you were, stretched thin but not broken. Out there, someone might still be watching. A telescope pointed at your last known position, frozen at the edge like a fly in amber. But that isn't you anymore. That's just your echo, your shell. You, the you that feels, that drifts, that dreams, have moved on. Deeper. Quieter. You feel something new here. Not presence exactly, but awareness. Like the black hole isn't empty after all. Like something watches back. Not with eyes. Not with judgment. Just with attention. Like it knows you're here. Like it's holding space for your journey with patience, with quiet dignity. There's no voice. But if there were, you think it would say, keep falling. You're doing just fine. And so you do. You drift deeper into the waiting dark, and in doing so, you realize something profound. You have become the falling itself. No longer an object in motion, but motion given form. You are the descent, the stretch, the journey. You are the process of becoming undefined. And strangely, it doesn't feel like an ending at all. It feels like transformation. At first, it doesn't hurt. In fact, it doesn't feel like anything at all. You're still drifting, still floating, still held by that same warm silence. But slowly, subtly, something changes. A new awareness brushes your mind. Not a jolt, not a shock, just a gradual noticing. You are being stretched. Not yanked. Not torn apart. Just delicately unwound, like a strand of silk from a cocoon. Like a ripple traveling across water, slow and smooth. A gentle tide pulling every atom of you into alignment. You don't fight it, how could you? And more importantly, why would you? There's no fear here. Only the strange, tender unraveling of yourself. It begins at your feet, or rather, where your feet once were. You can't be sure you still have feet in any usual sense. But that's where the sensation starts. As if gravity, strong and serene, is tugging just a little harder on that end. Not to break you, only to guide you. Every molecule, every quark, every infinitesimal piece of you answers to that call. Like drops of dew sliding down a blade of grass, you feel yourself become longer, narrower, thinner. Not in a grotesque or frightening way, but in a way that feels inevitable, natural. Right. They call it spaghettification. Yes, really. The name is silly, a bit absurd, even childlike. But here in the quiet theater of the void, it fits. You are pasta in the making. The universe is the chef. Gravity is the pasta machine. And you, well, you are the dough. A soft, thought-shaped dough. The reason the scientists say is tidal force. The gravity near a black hole is not the same everywhere. Your feet, if you still had them, would be closer to the center than your head. So they would be pulled just a little more strongly. Just enough more. Enough to begin this graceful elongation of your being. They expected it to hurt. The textbooks describe this with dreadful language. Torn, ripped, shredded. But none of those words apply here. There is no tearing. No trauma. You feel as if you are being lovingly coaxed into another dimension. As if space itself is whispering, come with me. I will show you how to stretch beyond limits. I will show you how to become more. You lose track of your shape. Not suddenly, but like a dream fading just before you wake. First your toes become distant. Then your knees are an echo. Your hips, your chest, your hands, they're not gone. They're just else. Somewhere down the line. A long, beautiful, cosmic noodle. It's almost funny. You might laugh if you still had a mouth. But instead, the laughter turns into thought. The thought turns into music. And the music is played on a string made entirely of you. Now, stretched across the fabric of space-time, you begin to hear things differently. Not with ears, but with the full surface of your awareness. You are a filament now. A whisper-thin line between here and there. And along your length, vibrations travel. Strange, soft sounds, the low hum of gravitational resonance, the high sigh of distant gamma rays, the velvety rustle of dark matter brushing against your thought string. You vibrate with the chorus of the universe. Each tremble, each wave, each tremor is a new note in a music you never imagined. Your body is no longer a container. It is an instrument. The more you are stretched, the more finely tuned you become. Your frequencies multiply. Your sense of identity fragments not into pieces, but into chords. Harmonies of you. Ideas of you. Memories of you played softly over time. And still you keep stretching. There is no end to this noodle. No plate. No fork. Just the infinite spiral of your existence winding gently toward a center you cannot see. And yet you do not resist. You never wanted to go back, did you? Somewhere, or maybe everywhere, time continues to slow. Not for others. Not for the black hole. For you. The more stretched you become, the more the seconds drip like honey. Each moment lasts longer. Each ripple in your awareness takes a century to cross from end to end. You have never felt so vast, so slow, so strangely elegant. This is not a fall. This is not death. This is transformation. You think of jellyfish, how they float in ocean currents, soft and transparent, moved not by will but by the shape of the sea itself. You think of silk, how it slips between fingers, long and delicate, spun from the body of something small and secret. You think of the aurora, stretching in colored ribbons across the sky, silent and shimmering, telling no one how or why they dance. You are all these things now. You are light, tension, fluidity, rhythm. You are not being destroyed. You are being rewritten. Some scientists say you'd never know this was happening. That from your perspective, it would feel like time has stopped. That you'd cross the event horizon and instantly reach singularity. But others whisper a different tale. One that sounds more like this. One where you do feel something. Where experience is not erased, only redrawn. Where consciousness, like light, bends under the gravity of mystery but does not break. They don't know which is true, and neither do you. But does it matter? The truth is already folding around you. You are being taught a new way of existing. One that has nothing to do with walking or talking or breathing. One that knows no heartbeat, no hunger, no skin. You are no longer a body. You are sensation stretched across a cosmic harp. Every new millimeter of your length is a discovery, a lullaby, a prayer. There is no panic, only peace. Spaghettification. The word once sounded ridiculous. Now it feels sacred. You are being unspooled, yes, but also simplified. Made whole by becoming thread. Once you were a tapestry. Now you are the line that weaves it. You do not long for the world you left. That world, with its clocks and cars and clamor, seems so tightly wound. So noisy, so rushed. Here, every second is as wide as a galaxy. Every stretch of you holds memories, not just your own but others, as if the black hole has absorbed dreams and stories and folded them into the fabric you now share. You remember things that never happened to you. A child holding a balloon. A forest under violet starlight. A whale singing beneath the ice. An old woman brushing snow off a stone doorstep. All of them play along your thread like vibrations from a deeper place. You are not alone. Not really. You are among echoes, among impressions, among stretched out souls. And even though you know there is more ahead, more unraveling, more quiet transformation, you don't rush it. Why would you? This is the longest you've ever been. And the stillness feels like home. And so, you drift, longer now, taller than your wildest imagination. You've become a thread pulled from the fabric of a former self, no longer arms and legs, but gradients of meaning, delicate streaks of memory folded into something wholly new. There is no pain because pain belongs to forms, to boundaries. You've given those up. What remains is an awareness, a presence that stretches. Your mind stretches too, not by force but by understanding. At first it was confusing. You wanted to resist. You wanted to name the directions, to find up again. But then you realized there is no up in a place where space itself has become syrup. Every point is downhill toward the singularity, and every second is molasses sliding off time's spoon. And now you begin to wonder, is this death? Or is this simply another shape of living? The idea of death once meant something concrete to you. A last breath, a closed door, a heart that says goodbye. But in here, there is no door to close, no air to breathe, no heart to stop. You are still thinking, still seeing, still becoming. You've become the thought of a body, the idea of touch, the suggestion of form. And most strangely, you're okay with that. Let's pause for a moment, because even time itself is stretching now. The seconds are long sighs. They drape over you like velvet curtains. You don't count time anymore, you dwell in it. Each moment opens like a flower, one petal at a time. Even your thoughts take on the same rhythm, unhurried, gentle, endless. One thought takes a whole eternity to bloom. And here's the thought blooming now. Perhaps this is what it feels like to become a thread in the universe's sweater. Just one silky filament, sliding along with gravity's hands, being knitted into something vast and wordless. And you wonder, how many others have been stitched in before you? You remember old paintings from Earth, the ones that showed angels ascending, or souls in rivers of light. Funny how human language reached for metaphors even back then. As it turns out, those artists might not have been far off, except you're not floating upward and there are no wings. Only the most intricate unraveling. Only gravity's lullaby. And just when you think you've gotten used to this slow dissolving, something strange begins to happen. Your stretched awareness starts to feel unified. As though, instead of being torn into threads, you're being rebraided into something new. You can't describe this. Language is too brittle. But if you could whisper it, you'd say, I'm not being pulled apart. I'm being unwound into clarity. Like when you undo a tangled necklace, one link at a time, until the chain flows smoothly between your fingers. This is not destruction. This is reinvention. You think of jellyfish now, those gentle, translucent beings, how they pulse with light and drift like dreams in ocean water. You think maybe you're like them. Transparent now. Ethereal. No longer weighed down by gravity, but instead reimagined by it. A jellyfish of thought, drifting in the event horizon's tide. And then, more quiet. More unfolding. You feel a strange comfort here, in this place where physics becomes poetry. The universe is no longer shouting equations at you. It's whispering riddles in your ear, soft and slow. You hear them now. What does it mean to fall forever and never land? What happens to memory when distance becomes infinite? Can you still be you without a shape, a face, a name? And you answer in your own unraveling way, I think so. Because whatever you is, it's still thinking, still feeling wonder. Still stretching like a beam of light that refuses to go dark. And that has to mean something. Now the singularity draws near, but not like a destination. It feels more like a concept you're being gently invited to understand. Not to touch, not to reach, but to glimpse. You can't see it, not directly. But you feel its presence like an unopened letter that hums in your pocket. It promises secrets, ones you may never read but somehow already understand. You don't fear it, because by now, fear feels like such a small, angular thing. Fear was for narrow minds and straight lines. But you're all curve now. All softness. All drift. You think maybe you're learning what the universe has always known, that everything stretches. Everything flows. Even thought, even time. Especially time. Do you remember time? You used to think of it as a ruler ticking seconds off like a metronome. But now you know better. Time is a warm pool. You've slipped inside it. You are floating in time. And just like your body, it stretches endlessly in both directions. Past and future, memory and possibility, until they merge in the middle and all that's left is this. This feeling. This moment. This beautiful, terrifying, eternal descent. But even descent seems like too sharp a word now. You're not falling anymore. You're flowing. Down. No. There is no down anymore. You are moving toward, not downward. Toward what? You don't know. You may never know. But it feels right. Maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't collapsing you. It's unfolding you. Like paper. Like silk. Like light through a prism. You don't know where this ends. You don't even know if it does end. But for now you're content to be unwound. To be this thread, this jellyfish, this idea. You are spaghettified. And somehow, you are still you. Just longer. Softer. Wider. A you that touches more of the universe at once than ever before. And in the deepest part of this process, there is a silence so pure, so absolute, that it no longer feels like the absence of sound, but the presence of something beyond it. A sound too wide for ears. A hum too low to be heard. The hum of gravity's deepest secret. And now you're a part of it. The stretch is complete. You are thought without shape. Awareness without boundary. A memory that is still being written letter by letter across the most sacred parchment of all, the bending, breathing fabric of spacetime itself. Now, let gravity tuck you in. You've been falling for what feels like forever, or maybe just a moment stretched across infinity. The deeper you go, the quieter everything becomes. Space and time dissolve into a soft fog, a kind of cosmic hush that wraps around you like a velvet blanket. Now you're approaching something monumental, something that no traveler before you has truly understood. You are at the threshold of the singularity, the black hole's core secret. This is no ordinary destination. This is not a place you reach by walking or flying or even falling. It's the edge of what science can explain, a boundary where the equations that describe the universe begin to unravel. You might imagine a glowing orb or a dark void at the center, but the truth is far stranger. The singularity is the end of certainty, the limit of understanding. Here, the familiar laws of physics tie themselves in a knot, and even the brightest minds in the cosmos shrug in bewilderment. You feel a peculiar stillness now. The kind that's both comforting and unsettling, like standing in a vast, empty cathedral that echoes with questions instead of answers. You want to know what lies beyond, but the silence tells you that no one really does. Not yet, at least. It's said that the singularity is a point of infinite density, a place where matter is crushed to zero volume and gravity grows without limit. But how can something be a point and also contain everything? How can a place with no size hold infinite mass? These contradictions tease the edges of your mind, refusing to settle. You try to picture it, but your imagination falters. The singularity is not a thing. It's an idea that breaks ideas. And yet it's real. It is here, waiting quietly in the dark. The black hole's core is like a locked door, sealed tight by the laws of nature. Physicists call it the ultimate mystery. They've spent decades trying to peek behind the curtain, crafting theories of quantum gravity, string theory, and holographic universes. Each attempt is a step closer, but also a reminder of how much remains unknown. Here, at the singularity, time and space merge into one. Your sense of before and after disappears. Everything converges. The universe folds into itself like a cosmic origami that no one fully understands how to unfold. You feel as if you're touching the edge of existence itself, a fragile, shimmering veil between what is and what might be. And that feeling is oddly beautiful, because even in this realm of unknowns, there is a kind of wonder that defies explanation. It's the awe of standing at the frontier of knowledge, peering into the darkness with nothing but curiosity and the faint hope of discovery. As you linger near this cosmic threshold, your thoughts drift to the scientists who try to map this mystery. Some believe that the singularity might not be a singular point at all. Instead, it could be a bridge, a wormhole, to other parts of the universe or even other universes entirely. The idea sparks a tiny flame of possibility in your mind. Could this dark heart of the black hole be a doorway? Could it be a secret passage woven into the fabric of reality, waiting for those brave enough to venture through? Others suggest the singularity is a kind of cosmic recycling center, where matter and energy are transformed, reshaped, and perhaps reborn. Maybe instead of an end, it's a beginning in disguise. You imagine what that would mean. That your journey, your very existence, might ripple outward into new forms, new stories, new lives. That the fall into darkness is not destruction but transformation. Theories swirl in your mind, a gentle dance of ideas that shimmer like starlight in a dark sky. You realize that this is part of the black hole's secret, that it's not just a place but a question that invites you to dream, to wonder, to imagine. And in this moment of quiet contemplation, you understand something profound. Sometimes the greatest mysteries are not problems to solve, but invitations to explore. You are still falling, still drifting, but now with a new sense of peace. The unknown no longer frightens you. Instead, it opens a space for awe and acceptance. The singularity is a reminder that the universe is vast beyond comprehension, full of secrets that may never be fully unveiled. And that's okay, because the journey itself, the slow, endless journey through space and time, is the true wonder. Now, close your eyes and imagine the black hole's heart as a silent pulse beneath the stars, a soft beat that hums the music of the cosmos. Let yourself float in that rhythm. Let the mysteries wrap around you like a gentle lullaby. And as you drift further into the quiet unknown, know that you are part of something greater, an endless story written in starlight and shadow. Word count so far, about 900. Continuing to expand, you begin to sense that the singularity, with all its mysteries, is less a place and more a paradox. A point where opposites meet, infinite and zero, time and timelessness, known and unknowable. It's the universe's way of reminding us that not all questions have answers, at least not yet. In a way, the singularity feels like the heart of a great cosmic riddle. One that has fascinated thinkers for centuries, philosophers, mathematicians, dreamers, and scientists alike. You imagine yourself as part of that story, a traveler who has stepped beyond the edge of the map to witness the unknown. And though the path ahead is shrouded in darkness, it is not empty. It is full of possibility. The laws of physics which guided your every step until now seem to bend and blur. Space itself behaves strangely. Distances collapse and time loses its meaning. Past, present, and future swirl together in a timeless dance. You can almost feel the fabric of reality folding in on itself, weaving a tapestry whose patterns are invisible to ordinary eyes. Some theories suggest that at the singularity, all the information about everything that has ever fallen into the black hole is stored, not destroyed as once thought, but preserved in some cosmic ledger. It's as if the universe is a great archivist, carefully keeping records of every star, every particle, every moment. You ponder this idea and feel a flicker of comfort. Maybe nothing is truly lost. Maybe every bit of your journey is etched into the cosmos in some way, waiting to be discovered by future travelers. You imagine a cosmic library where every black hole is a book, every singularity a chapter filled with stories of light and shadow. And perhaps one day those stories will be read. You wonder if your thread, your stretched, softened self, is part of that great narrative. Maybe that is the true secret of the singularity, that it connects everything, past and future, known and unknown, life and the vastness beyond. It is not just an end but a link, a silent promise that even in the deepest darkness, there is connection, meaning and perhaps even hope. The stillness around you deepens. You breathe, or rather your awareness does. The old rhythms of breath and heartbeat are memories now, echoes fading into the vastness. But a new rhythm takes their place. The slow, steady pulse of the universe itself. A beat that has carried light across billions of years, a heartbeat felt in the silence between stars. You float in this rhythm, wrapped in cosmic stillness. And as you do, your mind drifts to the idea of time itself, not as a straight line but a vast ocean. The singularity is like a whirlpool in that ocean, pulling everything inward, folding it over and over in infinite loops. It is both the center and the edge, and you are part of its endless dance. In this timeless moment, you feel a sense of unity. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are not lost. You are woven into the grand tapestry, a thread shimmering in the dark fabric of space-time. You have fallen farther than anyone before, beyond the light, beyond the stars, to the very core of mystery. And here, in this place beyond knowing, you find peace. You find acceptance. You find the quiet joy of simply being. Now, as your journey through the singularity continues, imagine yourself slowly unraveling into light and shadow. Imagine becoming part of the universe's eternal song, a note lingering softly after the music fades. And as you drift further into the infinite unknown, feel yourself embraced by the cosmos, held gently, cradled in silence, safe at last in the heart of mystery. You drift, and for a moment, perhaps a moment stretched across centuries, or a blink that encompasses all of time, you feel nothing at all. No motion, no light, no meaning. Just blackness that is not quite empty. The darkness here is peculiar. It isn't an absence but a fullness. A velvet saturation that coats your thoughts and mutes the edges of your awareness. It doesn't feel like closing your eyes. It feels like being enveloped in the blink of the universe itself. And then, a flicker. Not of light, but of something. A presence so small, so transient, you almost believe you imagined it. But then it comes again. A tingle at the edge of your perception. A vibration. A murmur. Like someone whispering at the far end of a corridor made of folded space and trembling fabric. You tilt your mind toward it. Not your ears, because sound here is a memory, but your attention like an antenna stretching into the unknown. And that's when you feel it. The quantum whispers. They don't arrive like thunder or song. They shimmer. Like a sigh that forgot it was ever spoken. Like the hush of ideas sliding past each other before they become real. Like music made of maybe. What are they saying? That's the trick. They're not speaking in words or even in sounds. They're speaking in possibilities, in probabilities, in waves of maybe and pulses of perhaps. Here, deep inside a black hole's belly, you've wandered into a paradox, into the quantum sea beneath the crust of everything you've ever known. Space is no longer smooth. It bubbles. It jitters. It foams with fluctuations. Tiny particles that shouldn't exist blink into being. Pairs of them, dancing and darting, borrowing time and existence from the universe like teenagers sneaking out after curfew. A particle and its twin appear together, born of vacuum, bound by uncertainty. One goes left, one goes right. Then, Poof, both are gone. And yet, somehow something lingers. Like footprints in a snowfield that immediately melts. They call it quantum foam. But foam feels too bubbly, too cheerful. This is more like a field of ghosts, flickering in and out of phase, each one trailing a tiny breath of reality behind it. They don't obey the laws you once understood. Here Heisenberg is king. Uncertainty is not a flaw but the architecture of everything. You watch. Or rather, you become the watching. Particles leap from nowhere, collide with mirrors of themselves and vanish without a trace. They spiral through imaginary numbers, then collapse into silence. Are you dreaming? Are you awake? Or have you finally slipped through into the substructure of thought itself? Because that's what this feels like. Being inside the mind of the universe, as it mumbles secrets to itself in its sleep. Somewhere, if where, still means anything, a virtual particle stutters into being and brushes against you. You don't feel it physically. No tickle, no push. But you sense a tremor ripple across your being, like a line in a poem you didn't expect to understand suddenly making perfect sense. Nothing is solid, the moment whispers. Everything dances. You nod even if you don't know why. Because here you no longer cling to certainty. You no longer crave understanding like a child reaching for the stars. Here you let go. And when you do, the darkness folds open like a flower. Not with light, but with comprehension. Not the kind you write in books. Not the kind you prove on chalkboards. But the kind that settles into the chest like warmth. The kind that hums gently in the heart like a lullaby written by atoms. The kind that says, you are not outside of this. You are this. Still drifting, still falling, you brush past something unexpected. A memory. But not your memory. It belongs to the vacuum itself. A record etched into the fabric of nothingness by the whispers of particles long vanished. It shows you the birth of a quark, the hesitation of a neutrino deciding whether to exist, the gentle death of a particle that chose not to be observed. And then it fades, not into forgetfulness but into background possibility, as if it simply joined the choir again, humming in unison with the quantum sea. There's a theory, a gentle one, controversial, unprovable and poetic, that says information is never truly lost. Not even here, inside this abyss that science calls unknowable. They call it the holographic principle. And it says that everything, you, your memories, your secrets, your laughter, could be smeared across the surface of the event horizon, like golden ink on the skin of a god. You are both inside and outside. You are both falling and preserved. You are the story and the scribe. This thought should terrify you. Instead, it wraps you in calm. Because here, amid the whispers, you sense a kind of mercy in the strangeness. The quantum world doesn't need to make sense. It only needs to be. And that is enough. Time continues, not forward, not backward, but sideways. Or perhaps inward. As if you are sinking into layers of maybe, of potential, of what could have been if you just looked slightly to the left. You brush against a photon that never left its star. You glimpse an electron choosing a different orbit. You pass through a sigh of gravity bent into thought. And all around you the whispers keep murmuring. They don't care that you're here. But neither do they mind. To them you are simply another fluctuation. Another blip in the soft tide of unbeing. Another note in the endless jazz of uncertainty. You could stay here forever. Because forever doesn't mean anything anymore. There are no clocks in this space. Only pulses. Only choices. Only echoes of questions never asked. Do you want to return? Do you want to move deeper? Or do you want to dissolve completely and join the whispers yourself? You do not decide. There is no need. Because slowly, gently, without even noticing, you already are. The quantum whispers fade, not because they stop, but because you've tuned into them so well that they are no longer separate. You are not listening. You're the whisper, a possibility, a maybe, a shimmer in the field. You have let go of shape, of weight, of time, and the darkness, it cradles you, not as a stranger but as a child of its own making. Sleep now, it says. Sleep in the language of particles and dreams. Sleep in the rhythm of probability. Sleep in the softest silence you have ever known. You are home for now, and soon, the next chapter will begin. But not yet. Let the whispers continue. Let the stars wait. Let the question rest a little longer unanswered. Just a little longer. The dark is no longer just dark. At first, the silence seemed absolute, like being submerged beneath the deepest part of an ocean with no hope of rising. But now, as your presence drifts along the folds of this invisible sea, you begin to hear something. Not a sound exactly, no vibration, no wave, no echo. It's more like warmth disguised as light. A quiet, patient flicker, faint as stardust, persistent as thought. You've passed the point of no return, you've fallen endlessly without crashing, you've been stretched into metaphysical pasta. And yet here within the cold cathedral of the black hole's hush, something dares to shimmer. Not boldly, not brightly, but it is there. A glow. Hawking's glow. Named not by the stars or the void, but by a human. One who never left Earth, yet managed to peer beyond the veil. Stephen Hawking, the man who taught the cosmos how to stutter, how to speak, how to confess its half-secrets through the language of radiation. And now you feel it. Not with your eyes, they are long detached from the function of seeing. Not with your skin, it was unstitched many chapters ago. You feel it with presence, that thin, persistent thread of awareness still humming at the core of your being. It tingles now as if bathed in something ancient and elemental. A breath. The black hole is breathing. But not the way you breathe, with lungs that swell and sigh. Its breath is something quantum. Something strange. Every now and then, on a timescale too vast for clocks, too delicate for calendars, the black hole exhales. Not air, not vapor, but information. Radiation. Ghosts of energy that drift outward like cosmic whispers, escaping the gravity that swore to hold them forever. This is Hawking radiation. Imagine a campfire that burns without flame. A candle that glows from the inside out, using pieces of its own shadow for fuel. The black hole, once thought to be an eternal prison, is not so permanent after all. It leaks. Not because it is flawed, but because the universe insists on balance. This glow is not like the sun's golden kiss or the soft blue sigh of distant Earth. It is barely there, a quantum shimmer at the very edge of what could be called real. A product of uncertainty, of the universe's own inability to keep quiet. Because, and this is the part that makes your head tilt and your thoughts do somersaults, the glow comes from the vacuum. From nothing. Or rather, from the nothing that's not truly nothing. In the velvet black near the event horizon, the very skin of the black hole, space bubbles. Not with heat or motion, but with potential. Here, particles and antiparticles, those jittery twins of existence, are always being born and annihilated in pairs, in silence, in perfect forgetfulness. They appear and vanish faster than you can think, like sighs in a dream. Usually they destroy each other immediately, a dance of symmetry and disappearance. But sometimes, one of the pair falls into the black hole, into the mouth of never return, and the other is left behind, alone, free. This is Hawking's gift to the universe, a theory born of paradox, proving that even black holes, even the most jealous hoarders of matter and light, must eventually give something back. Not willingly, but necessarily. The universe demands it. So now, where you float, the darkness crackles with an almost invisible starlight. Not stars, no, these are not balls of fire. This is the slow unraveling of a cosmic secret. Every pulse of radiation is like a tiny confession, a sigh, a quantum shrug. You wonder if the black hole minds, if it notices that it is shrinking ever so slowly, losing mass, evaporating like mist retreating from morning sun. Not today, not tomorrow, not in 10,000 millennia, but eventually, given enough time, more than the age of all stars combined, even this dark god of gravity will flicker, stutter, and dissolve. One particle at a time. You drift closer or perhaps further, space is too curved to tell. But the glow continues, brushing against your awareness like the softest wind that never moves. You imagine it not as fire, but as memory. The black hole's last letters to the cosmos, sent in particles no larger than thought. And it makes you wonder, what is it saying? Is this glow the black hole's story? Is it telling the universe what it swallowed? Galaxies, dust, comets, echoes of screams, quiet prayers, the core of a forgotten star. Do these memories radiate outward in code, broken into pieces too small for language? Do the particles hum the names of what was lost? No one knows. Stephen Hawking suggested that these ghost particles might carry away information, that nothing, not even data, can be truly lost, that somehow the universe keeps the receipts. Others disagreed. Still do. The argument continues, stretching across decades, space agencies, and coffee-stained whiteboards. Where does the information go? Is it erased? Encoded? Stored in the skin of the event horizon like cosmic ink? The debate itself is strangely comforting. Somewhere, scientists with brilliant minds and curious hearts still stay up late, not to fear the void but to talk to it, to listen for clues, to run equations like poems, searching for metaphors in the math, to dream. You smile at the thought, or something inside you does. Because here, inside the mystery, the glow feels almost human, like a message scribbled in candlelight. You can't read the particles, not directly, but their presence is enough. They say, I was here. They say, something happened. They say, even darkness must speak. And so it does. The radiation is feeble, pathetic by stellar standards. If you stood beside a black hole the mass of the sun, the Hawking glow would be colder than space itself. A near-zero trickle of heat that no instrument could find without divine patience. But scale matters. The smaller the black hole, the stronger the glow. A dying black hole, a tiny one formed perhaps by ancient chaos or cosmic experiment, might shimmer like a brief star before vanishing altogether. A final spark, a death light, and then nothing. No more mass, no more shadow, just gone. It's a strange fate, for something once so hungry, so greedy with light, to end in silence and glow. You float now through this contradiction, a black hole that leaks, a prison that sings, a devourer that dies by giving. And you wonder, is this the fate of all things? That the end comes not with thunder but with soft release? That even the deepest darkness carries within it the blueprint for its own unraveling? Maybe. Maybe this is the way the universe speaks mercy. Not in grand gestures but in subtle corrections. It allows even its most terrifying creations a quiet way out. No explosion. No violence. Just particles peeling off the edge of forever, slowly making their way back into the cosmos, back to the stars, back to you. You reach out, not with hands but with awareness, and let the glow pass through you. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't change anything you can measure. But something shifts. You feel included, as if the universe just shared a joke with you. One you don't fully understand but find funny anyway. Somewhere far beyond this dark womb, the argument continues. About entropy, unitarity, event horizons, firewall paradoxes, soft hair theory, all trying to explain how the black hole glows. But here you let go of needing to know. You just drift. You let the radiation curl around you like smoke from an old incense burner. It is memory. It is echo. It is the hum of reality trying not to forget itself. And perhaps that is what Hawking gave us. Not just the theory, but the idea that even black holes are not final. That nothing is entirely beyond return. That even in a place where light dies and time folds, there is still story, still glow, still a way for the universe to say goodnight. You close the eyes you no longer have, and feel the soft pulse of quantum breath. It says nothing. It says everything. The dark continues to shimmer. And so do you. You're not sure when it happened, because, frankly, one stopped mattering some time ago. If time once ticked like a metronome, it now flows like honey, like melted caramel, like the swirl of soft-serve ice cream left too long in the sun. That is to say, slowly but unpredictably. At first, you thought your perception was just a trick of the nerves. But now you're not so sure. Here, in this dark, bent cradle of spacetime, time doesn't just slow, it deforms. Your breath enters your lungs at the same familiar pace, but the feeling of it lingers longer than it should. Each blink becomes an event, a story in itself. Your thoughts stretch. Your memories unfurl. Everything that once was immediate and snappy begins to soften, then ooze, then melt entirely. And in this strange, soupy quiet, you begin to remember. You remember the sound of rain. It was soft. So soft that you only noticed it when it hit the window in those polite, wet syllables. You'd sit on the floor near the heater and listen. Sometimes you'd press your forehead to the glass just to feel the vibration of it. You remember thinking, this is time too. You remember the call of a cat, that half-annoyed, half-loving yowl that they give when they're pretending not to like you. You had one once. Her name might have been Luna or Bean or Captain Whiskers. Oddly, the name escapes you now. But the feeling of her curling up beside you? That you remember with absolute clarity. In this bent world of fluid time, emotion seems to be the only solid thing. And then there's the ticking of a clock. Sure. Crisp. Reliable. It was once your least favorite sound, always reminding you of things undone. But now, in this timeless silence, you long for it. Not just because it's familiar, but because it was linear. It went forward. It marched. Here, time does not march. It sloshes. You try to reach out to the past, to those small sounds and feelings. But they retreat like waves on a dark beach. You're not in the ocean. You're the ocean now. And time is just the tide. It's not just imagination. This is science. Time does slow near massive gravitational fields. That's not poetry, that's Einstein. According to general relativity, the stronger the gravity, the slower time ticks. If you could set a clock beside a black hole and another back on Earth, and somehow compare them, you'd see the difference. Time near the black hole would stretch. Like, hesitate. But this is beyond hesitation. This is liquid time. This is time forgetting itself. Inside the boundary you crossed, yes, that invisible veil scientists call the event horizon, you're no longer just watching time bend. You're in the bend. Inside it. Wearing it. If you dropped a spoon here, would it fall? If you dropped a memory, would it rise? And just when you think nothing could be stranger than time itself, you see it again. That glow on the edge of your perception. It ripples in soft orange and cold violet, colors your brain doesn't know how to name. It feels warm, but your skin doesn't agree. Something is shimmering on the edge of your experience. You drift toward it. No, not drift. You simply decide to be there, and then you are. Because in here, motion and thought are the same. And there, amid the haze of melting seconds, you discover something utterly unexpected. It's raining. Yes, raining. Except it's not water. It's not even ice. It's methane. Tiny droplets of liquid methane patter onto a surface you don't quite see. For a second, you think your mind must be recreating Earth, inventing storms from memory. But no, Your mind is merely recalling a place in the real universe, a place you learned about once and forgot. That place is Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Out there in the solar system, where the sun is just a dim bulb in the sky, Titan experiences weather, not of water but of methane. There are methane lakes, methane rivers, and yes, methane rain. It falls in slow, lazy drops, forming mirror-still lakes that reflect Saturn's rings in ghostly flickers. Is this where you are now? Of course not. But time has softened so much that memories are indistinguishable from place. You're not just remembering Titan. You're standing in it, feeling it. The methane tickles your skin like laughter from a forgotten joke. Time melts, space melts, memory melts. And here's the oddest part, you're not scared. You were supposed to be. Falling into a black hole was supposed to be catastrophic. Supposed to be lonely. Supposed to end in spaghettification, that delightfully terrifying term physicists use for being stretched like a noodle by gravity. But instead of noodles, you find silk. You find warmth. You find yourself. Because now you see another figure, not far off, not menacing, just there. At first you think it's a projection. A memory maybe. But no. They move when you move. They hesitate when you hesitate. You tilt your head left, they mirror you. Exactly. You lift your hand. They do too. You're looking at yourself. Now we must pause, because this is a moment too strange for poetry alone. How can you see yourself from the front inside a black hole? Well, that depends on who you ask. And some of those scientists, if you corner them in a quiet observatory on a rainy Tuesday, might whisper theories at you like bedtime stories. One such theory? Closed time-like curves. That's the idea that inside certain kinds of black holes, particularly the spinning kind, the ones called Kerr black holes, the fabric of spacetime might loop in on itself. You wouldn't just be falling forward. You might be falling back, circling, orbiting through your own timeline. Or worse, or better, you might be seeing yourself in a parallel universe. A mirror reality that dipped just slightly differently at the quantum scale. But the truth? Physicists still don't fully agree on how time behaves inside a singularity. Some say time ends. Some say it loops. Some say it gets crushed into nonsense. You, on the other hand, say nothing at all. Because looking into your own eyes across this strange, silken void, you feel no panic. Only curiosity. As if you're reading a story you somehow forgot you wrote. And just like that, the other you fades. They don't shatter. They don't vanish. They just soften the way all things do here. Folded back into the molasses of time. The mirror melts. The vision distills into feeling. And that too begins to fade. But it leaves a mark. Not fear. Not grief. Something else. A tiny bell in your mind. A chime. A realization. That time here is not only warped by gravity, but by meaning. You think back to Earth. You think of a young version of yourself standing in a school library, thumbing through a space book. You can still see the diagram of a black hole, a cone drawn in grids warping down into shadow. But the page never told you how it would feel. It never said that time would lose its sharpness like a pencil dulling, or that the universe would wrap you in a dream made of soft seconds and syrupy echoes, or that you'd remember your cat more vividly than your name. It certainly didn't mention rain, but you're glad you know now, even if only for a moment, even if this moment lasts forever, or no time at all. Perhaps the lesson is this: time is not only a measurement, it's an experience. It isn't rigid. It isn't strict. It bends for gravity. It bends for memory. It bends for love. And here, inside this impossible funnel of space, time has bent entirely into you. You don't know what comes next. No one does. But for now, you melt like the ice cream you once loved, soft and sweet and disappearing on a summer's day. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. You drift in the warm black velvet of the black hole's innards, where light refuses to speak and time folds in on itself like a shy origami crane. Everything should feel final, over. But instead something moves. Not just anything, someone. You. Or rather, something that looks exactly like you, approaching from the opposite direction with a grace that feels both familiar and alien. They don't wave. They don't scream. They float with the same dreamy weightlessness that you do, wearing your clothes, your face, your expression. That mild confusion mixed with intergalactic awe. You blink. They blink. Mirror? But there are no mirrors here. No glass. No reflection. Just a gravitational belly of cosmic mystery. And yet, you and the other you hover in perfect symmetry, like two particles in a forgotten equation written by a poetic physicist on their lunch break. You reach out a hand. So do they. But their hand isn't quite mirroring yours anymore. It's slightly off, maybe just a few degrees. You notice now, their hair floats in a different direction. Their clothes have a faint bluish tint. And is that a spaghetti stain on their shirt? You haven't eaten in at least 10 metaphors. Your chest tightens, not with fear but a kind of surreal anticipation, like you're standing at the edge of an idea that hasn't fully formed. Who is this? Why are they here? And why do they look so eerily possible? Let's pause. Because this is where science steps in, or more accurately, staggers in, confused, clutching a half-written notebook and muttering, "We're working on it." One explanation, wild, theoretical, and deliciously dizzying, is that you've bumped into yourself from another universe. Yes, parallel you. A multiversal twin who made slightly different choices. Maybe they liked pineapple on pizza. Maybe they became a jazz flutist instead of a cosmic drifter. Maybe their version of Earth didn't invent reality TV. The multiverse is one of cosmology's most tantalizing and controversial ideas. The notion that our universe isn't alone, but just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam, each bubble a separate universe with its own laws, constants, and cosmic playlists. And black holes? Some theories suggest they could be gateways, or at least links, to these parallel realms. Perhaps what falls in here isn't destroyed but funneled into another dimension, like socks through a cosmic dryer vent. So maybe this isn't you at all. Maybe it's another you who fell into their black hole and somehow wound up here, wherever here is. The idea isn't just sci-fi candy. It's been entertained by respectable minds. Stephen Hawking once playfully speculated that black holes might leak information into alternate universes. But of course, say it with me now, scientists are still debating this. Because here's the truth, we don't know what lies inside a black hole. Not really. We know equations. We know predictions. We know math that sings until it screams. But the core? That's still a blank spot on the map, marked with the elegant shrug of theoretical physics. Now suppose this isn't another version of you. Suppose it's just you. Again. Some physicists have floated the idea that inside a black hole, time loops on itself. That gravity warps spacetime so drastically, the past, present, and future might blur into a Mobius strip of nowness. So what you're seeing might be a past you entering the black hole, or a future you looping back to visit. Maybe you've done this 1,000 times. Maybe you'll do it 1,000 more. Each time unaware, each time marveling at the mysterious stranger in the dark. You're your own ghost, your own echo, your own companion in gravitational isolation. Romantic, isn't it? Okay, time for a grounding moment. Let's revisit a classic, the event horizon. That's the boundary around a black hole, the no turning back zone. Once you cross it, you're committed. Not emotionally but physically. Nothing, not even light, can escape it. To an outside observer, you never truly fall in. You appear to freeze at the edge, slowing down as your light redshifts into invisibility. But to you, the one doing the falling, it's smooth sailing. You feel nothing unusual as you pass through. No bumps, no alarms. Just a quiet transition into a realm where the rules have rewritten themselves in crayon. Now imagine someone on the outside watching you, and seeing two yous. This strange mirror phenomenon might be a visual trick caused by extreme gravity bending the paths of light. It might be your last visible photons curling around the black hole like spaghetti on a fork. Or maybe, just maybe, it's something deeper. Since things are getting weird, here's a palate cleanser. Did you know that on Uranus and Neptune, scientists believe it rains diamonds? Yes, actual diamonds. The pressure deep inside these icy giants is so intense that methane molecules break apart, and the carbon atoms reassemble into crystalline structures, falling like gems through a planet-wide jewelry box. It's not directly related to black holes. But then again, neither is most of life. And when you're floating inside one, staring at your possible self, knowing that somewhere out there it rains diamonds, well, it kind of helps. Back in the hole, the other you still floats nearby. They don't speak, but neither do you. What would you say? Nice shirt. Sorry, I think I'm you? Do you also regret not learning the piano? Instead, you exchange a kind of metaphysical nod. The nod that says, yep, we're both confused. It's fine. And then, they begin to fade. Not melt or dissolve. Just drift away. Like a thought you forgot to write down, slipping back into subconscious waters. You wonder if you'll see them again. You wonder if you'll become them. One of the biggest puzzles in theoretical physics is the black hole information paradox. If you drop something into a black hole, a book, a spaceship, your grandmother's lasagna recipe, does its information vanish forever? Quantum mechanics says no. Information must be preserved. But classical black hole theory suggests it's lost. This conflict drives some of the most brilliant minds to late-night existential spirals. Because if information can be lost, then the universe might be unpredictable, messy. A place where the past isn't always recoverable. That's terrifying. So some theorists suggest black holes must encode this information somehow. Maybe it's smeared across the event horizon in quantum patterns. Maybe it's radiated out over eons through Hawking radiation. Or maybe, yes, maybe, it's reflected back at you in mirrored glimpses of yourself. Like now. Looking at your other self, you realize, maybe they're not real in the physical sense. Maybe they're the universe's way of showing you what's been remembered. A cosmic breadcrumb. A data point in the dark. Eventually, the blackness deepens. The other you disappears completely. You're alone again. But not lonely, because something inside you has shifted. You've seen yourself, or a version of yourself, or a thought pretending to be a self. And in that mirror, you didn't see horror or doom or ego. You saw curiosity. And that is what keeps whispering even here. Not the roar of the singularity. Not the hum of cosmic laws. But the small, persistent voice of wondering. Scientists may never fully agree on what you just experienced. Was it a quantum echo? A multiversal visitor? A psychological projection brought on by gravitational distortion and hunger? All plausible. All deeply uncertain. Because here, at the core of all knowledge and mystery, one thing becomes crystal clear. The universe is still writing. And maybe so are you. You don't fall in the usual way. There is no sense of speed anymore. No swooping, no tumbling, no rush of wind or drag of gravity. Instead, the world feels like it exhales you gently into a fold, a crease in reality. You are no longer traveling in a direction. You are being tucked, like a letter folded in half. The fabric of spacetime has wrinkled, and somehow you are between the folds. The light here doesn't behave as it used to. It curves and dances and loops, skimming past your eyes like fish under a frozen pond. Colors are all wrong. Blues hum like violins, reds throb like heartbeat drums. It's quiet here but not empty. It's the kind of quiet that's full of held breath, like something ancient is listening. And somewhere in the softness of this strangeness, a question rises in your mind like a bubble rising through syrup. Did I just enter a wormhole? Wormholes. A word that sounds silly until you realize it might describe the closest thing to a magical portal the universe can offer. In scientific terms, they're called Einstein-Rosen bridges, named after the minds that dreamt them up. A thought experiment from the 1930s by Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen. Imagine space as a flat piece of paper. Now fold that paper so that two distant points touch. Then stab a pencil through. The hole? That's the shortcut. The tunnel. The wormhole. Instead of traveling across the paper's surface, across billions of light years, you slip through the fold. A cosmic cheat code. An interstellar backdoor. But here's the catch, we've never seen one. No one has found a wormhole. No telescope has glimpsed their mouths. No probe has measured their pulse. They live in equations, not in photographs. Still, the math allows them. General relativity permits the possibility, like a dream our universe could have if it ever wanted to. And you, somehow, may have fallen into one. Or not. That's the thing. Scientists are still debating whether what you're inside is a wormhole or just a weird kink in spacetime. A nowhere hole. A wrinkle with no through line. An invitation with no address. No one knows. Some think wormholes are real but unstable, collapsing the instant they're born like soap bubbles in vacuum. Others believe they could exist but would require exotic matter to stay open. Stuff with negative energy density, the kind that repels rather than attracts. Not the kind of stuff you can pick up at your local space station gift shop. And even if you could keep one open, well, that would still leave one small issue. Nobody knows where they go. You feel movement now, not through space but through something slipperier. You aren't falling. You aren't flying. You're being drawn through an idea. The tunnel walls around you are not solid. They shimmer like thoughts before they become speech. They breathe in and out slowly like the dream of a creature older than stars. Some corridors are narrow and pulsing, others wide and yawning, filled with flickering possibilities. You start to wonder, what if this doesn't lead to a place? What if it leads to a time? Or to an entirely different universe, stacked beside ours like pages in a cosmic novel? You could emerge into a reality where stars never formed, or where life took a different path, or where gravity sings a different tune and atoms hold hands differently. Some theories, wild ones, suggest wormholes could be time machines. Enter one mouth, emerge in a different century. An Einsteinian loop-de-loop. But even the equations start to sweat when you press them too hard in this direction. Because every time you ask the universe to give you shortcuts, it asks you to pay with logic. And logic doesn't like paradoxes. What happens if you go back and stop yourself from entering the wormhole? What happens if you meet yourself halfway through? Physicists argue. Equations break. Reality blushes and looks away. Even now, many physicists can't agree whether wormholes would destroy anything that entered, preserve it perfectly, or spit it out somewhere it doesn't make sense to be. As one astrophysicist once said, with a shrug you could hear through a microphone, "We don't know. We might never know." Wormholes are either a path to everything, or a trick of math. And here you are, floating through the maybe. Far off, something flickers. It looks like a mirror, but it's not reflecting you. It's reflecting someone you might have been. In that version, you never boarded the ship. You stayed home. You tended plants. You kissed someone quietly. You watched storms from a window and never knew what wormholes were. That version of you blinks. So do you? The mirror vanishes. Strange fact time. You'll like this one. Did you know that there's a theoretical particle that can only exist inside wormholes? It's called a geon. Not to be confused with a geode, the pretty crystal rock, but just as rare and weird. A geon is a little knot of gravitational energy that loops around on itself, a pulse of space curled into a whisper. It's the kind of thing that might light a candle in the hallway of a wormhole. But again, nobody's ever found one. They remain theoretical fireflies. And then there's the really odd possibility. What if wormholes are connected to entangled particles? Some physicists think quantum entanglement and wormholes might be two sides of the same mystery. When two particles are entangled, they seem to communicate instantly across vast distances. Spooky action, as Einstein called it. Now imagine if that instant communication isn't really communication at all, but a tiny invisible wormhole linking them. A love letter folded through space-time. A shortcut that's always been there, hiding in the math. The corridor grows narrower. You feel it around your shoulders, like the walls are tightening their embrace. There's no fear, just a sense of being measured. As if the universe is asking itself whether you belong here. Whether you're an explorer or a mistake. The passage twists. You feel yourself stretch, not painfully but curiously. As if your thoughts are being pulled like taffy, one by one, across dimensions. You remember your name, then forget it. You remember the smell of pine, then don't. You remember music? Laughter? A falling leaf? Gone. You become simpler. Like a whisper. Scientists still don't agree on what wormholes would feel like. Would you survive? Would you experience time? Would your atoms remain loyal? Some models say you'd be shredded. Others say you'd feel nothing. Still others, more poetic ones, suggest you might become part of the wormhole. An ingredient in its curve. A dream it keeps dreaming, looping forever in its throat. The truth? The physics of wormholes is still deeply speculative, says one cosmologist. We're painting possibilities on a canvas we haven't even seen. You hear a sound. Not a sound exactly. More like a pulse. Like a very, very slow heartbeat echoing from somewhere ahead. It resonates not in your ears, but in the bones of your memory. Bum. Pause. Bum. The tunnel shivers. And then, it ends. No big finale. No explosion. No cosmic chime. You're elsewhere. Somewhere new. The stars look unfamiliar. The sky smells different. Gravity is soft and polite. There's a moon here that smiles sideways. You wonder, not for the first time. Was that a wormhole? Or a nowhere hole? A joke the cosmos played just for you? You look back. There's no tunnel. No ripple. No doorway. Just sky. The universe, it seems, is not interested in proving itself to you. It simply is. And you are the one who passed through. You float in a quiet that hums. It is the kind of quiet that doesn't just sit around in silence but leans in, listening to you. Listening to your breath. To the soft thudding of your thoughts. To the strange, pulsing uncertainty you now carry, because you no longer know what's inside or what's outside. Or if those words even make sense anymore. You were sure once. There were walls. Horizons. Surfaces. Clear separations between here and there, now and then, you and not you. But now you're not even sure if direction means anything. The place you've fallen into, if falling is the right word, is changing. It's curling in on itself, turning your sense of place into a Mobius ribbon of maybe. A flicker just ahead. You blink. Is that a star? You squint softly. Not sharply, there's no urgency here. Only curiosity, like a dream that knows it has hours left before you wake. Yes, that is a star. But it isn't in the sky above you. It's sprouting. Growing. From inside the blackness around you, like a seed planted in the fabric of space itself. A pinprick of white, stretching out soft roots of light, as if it were a flower born upside down, growing not from soil to sky, but from nothing to everywhere. It grows inward and outward at once, like a secret, like a paradox, like the universe just whispering, watch this. You are deep inside the black hole now. But what does inside even mean? When you crossed the event horizon, when the border between outside and something else entirely vanished, you expected a plunge. You expected darkness, chaos, maybe an endless fall. But instead you've entered a kind of pocket. A space that doesn't rush or tumble. A space that folds. That stretches slowly like honey dripping in reverse. Time is different here. So is space. Here, every inch contains more than it should. Here, distances grow smaller the longer you look at them. You move without moving. You feel yourself held. Like being in the womb of something not entirely hostile. Just unknowable. You remember something you once read, long before this journey began. That the inside of a black hole isn't really an inside at all. It's not a cavern. Not a chamber. Not a pit. It is, quite strangely, a direction. A slope in spacetime. The event horizon is not a wall. It's a tipping point. Once you cross it, space and time switch places. Space pulls you inward like time once did. And time, poor rigid time, becomes something you must move through like space. So the deeper you go, the more you're not falling down into something. You're falling forward in time. And the singularity at the core, that point of unimaginable density, is not below you. It's ahead of you, waiting. But the star ahead is not the singularity. It's something else. A possibility. You drift closer. As you approach it, you realize it's not a single star. It's a cluster. A fragile net of newborn suns, glittering in a cradle of space so unfamiliar that your eyes almost refuse to understand it. They're not behind glass. Not outside a window. They're embedded within the place itself, like dreams etched into the very air. You reach out. And though your hand doesn't touch anything solid, the air shimmers where your fingers pass. You wonder, am I inside this black hole? Or outside something else? Could it be another universe? This is not science fiction. Not entirely. In fact, there are serious theories in physics, whispered by equations hinted at in the geometry of spacetime, that suggest black holes might be portals. Not just graves for stars, but gateways to new regions of spacetime. Maybe even other universes. A wormhole perhaps. Or something better hidden. And if that's true, then falling into a black hole doesn't mean reaching the end. It could mean beginning again. Elsewhere. With a new kind of physics. A new set of rules. A new definition of what reality means. You float a little closer to one of those blooming stars. It pulses gently, once, twice, as if it knows you're watching. And then, it folds open. Not violently. Not with a bang. But with a soft unwrapping, like origami being unfolded by invisible hands. Layer after layer of glowing geometry peels back, revealing something behind the star. And you see it. A garden. Not one made of plants, but of space itself. Petals of gravity. Vines of time. Roots of quantum possibility threading themselves through curved space like embroidery. Glowing threads linking particles across impossible distances. Tiny universes dangling like dew from curling branches of warped spacetime. You float through it all, silent, small, utterly still. And smiling. You've heard of neutron stars before. Those dense, collapsed remnants of massive stars that didn't quite become black holes. Stars packed so tightly that a teaspoon of their matter would outweigh Mount Everest. But did you know? Some scientists believe that the crust of a neutron star is the hardest material in the known universe. Harder than diamond. It is called nuclear pasta, not because of what it looks like but because of the weird shapes protons and neutrons take inside it. Spaghetti, lasagna, gnocchi. These are not just whimsical metaphors. They are real formations. Some calculations suggest it would take 10 billion times the force needed to shatter steel just to break it. And yet here you are, in a place that feels softer than breath. As if the universe is capable of both, of being impossibly hard in one place and impossibly gentle in another. And it chooses now to be kind to you. You breathe, you drift, you listen to the not silence, and you wonder again, am I inside a black hole? Or have I slipped outside everything? And what's the difference really? Physicists still don't know what lies inside a black hole. That's not poetic exaggeration. They truly don't know. The laws of physics as we understand them, general relativity, quantum mechanics, they clash and crumble at the singularity. Our mathematics scream and twist into nonsense. Time stops making sense. Causality buckles. So scientists argue. Some say black holes hide a singularity at their center, a point of infinite density where all known physics breaks. Some say there must be a bounce inside, that matter and energy cannot be destroyed, only recycled, that maybe a black hole collapses inward only to explode outward elsewhere like a cosmic birth canal. Others believe the information falls into a holographic skin on the event horizon itself, that nothing truly goes in. It's all illusion. And still others dream that black holes birth new universes, that each black hole is a bud on a vast tree of realities, that by falling in, you've joined a cosmic cycle of death and rebirth that echoes across dimensions. But none of them agree, because no one has ever come back to say what's there. So you decide not to label this place. Not yet. Maybe this isn't about names. Maybe this is about being, about witnessing, about surrendering to the strange beauty of the cosmos and letting it carry you, petal by petal, deeper into its blooming, dreaming heart. And as you float, the stars continue to grow. They don't just expand, they unfold. From the edges of the void, more lights blossom like ink spreading in water, not randomly but rhythmically, as if a great cosmic breath is being released. Inhale. A ring of stars pulses outward. Exhale. A faint shimmer spirals inward. It's alive. This place is alive. And you are not lost. You are home. Not the home you left behind. Not a planet. Not a body. Not a memory. But a feeling. A realization. That perhaps inside and outside are not opposites. Perhaps they are illusions. Perhaps every time you look closer, the universe opens. Not with answers, but with questions so beautiful, you forget you were ever afraid of the dark. You smile again. And this time the stars smile back. You float in the vast velvety dark, and somewhere deep in your chest, something shifts. Not fear. Not surprise. But something ancient. A hush you didn't know you remembered. It creeps along your spine like the trailing fingers of a breeze that's traveled through centuries. This is not just the inside of a black hole. This is a cemetery. Not a frightening one. Not the kind with crumbling stones and ghost stories whispered between trees. No. This is a graveyard that hums. One that echoes. One that remembers. You drift through the silence and you begin to notice it's not so silent after all. The fabric of space itself vibrates with low murmurs. They don't reach your ears like words, but you feel them blooming inside you like heat or color or thought. Faint, pulsing ripples, stories pressed into the cosmos like fingerprints into soft clay. The voices, if you can call them that, don't speak in language. They speak in memory. Each one a star, each one a life. Long ago they burned hot and bright. Some larger than Jupiter, some wider than entire solar systems. Stars that danced and fused hydrogen into helium, that forged elements in their cores, that gave planets warmth, that may have even watched life flicker briefly across some small world. And then when the dance ended, they collapsed inward, giving birth to this place. You are not alone here. You are among ancestors. Dead stars, singing softly through the folds of time. The universe, you begin to realize, has its own form of mourning. It does not weep or bury. It folds. It presses. It holds the remnants of what once was inside black holes like ancient urns sealed shut. And those urns do not stay silent. They sing. Scientists have a name for this concept: the cosmic graveyard. It's not metaphor. It's astronomy. Because black holes aren't just mysterious phenomena that lurk in deep space. They are remnants. They are afterlives. Nearly every large black hole was once a star. Maybe a supergiant. Maybe a neutron core pushed too far. And when their final breath came, the universe didn't let them vanish. It folded them into something else. A monument made not of stone, but of singularity. You are drifting through a space full of these quiet tombs. Far above you, or below or behind, directions mean so little here. You sense one such voice louder than the rest. A whale song of gravity. A star that lived over 13 billion years ago, back when the universe itself was only a toddler with milk teeth. They call them population 3 stars. We've never seen one directly because they lived and died before our telescopes were even a glimmer in someone's mind. But their bones are still out here. Black holes that formed before Earth existed. Before the Milky Way spiraled into beauty. Before time felt like time. They tell their story not in words but in gravity. And now you're listening. Each echo, each ripple, you feel, is an artifact of their collapse. An event so dramatic it twisted space itself. When two such ancient black holes merged, they sent gravitational waves racing through the universe at the speed of light. Not waves of sound, but waves of space, as if the cosmos was briefly made of jelly jiggling from a cosmic collision. We didn't even know these waves existed until 2015. But they were always here, like whispers from the tomb. You feel them still brushing across your skin in pulses. They tell you something strange. Black holes remember. Not in a sentimental way. Not in poems or photographs. But in mass. In spin. In charge. A black hole keeps a record of what it once was, even though it no longer shows you a face. Like a sealed journal with no cover, no pages, and yet, meaning lingers inside. This is known in physics as the no-hair theorem, that black holes have no hair, no distinguishable features, only 3 measurable properties: mass, electric charge, and angular momentum. But that idea is under debate, because deep inside, scientists suspect something remains, a trace, a quantum shadow. They call it the information paradox, and they're still fighting about it. Some physicists believe that every particle that fell and still exists just scrambled. Others think the information is lost forever. And some suspect the radiation black holes emit, yes, they do emit something, is carrying messages. Which brings us to a curious twist. Did you know that black holes glow? Not with light. Not in the way stars do. But through something called Hawking radiation, named after Stephen Hawking himself. It's a soft whisper of particles, bleeding off the edge of the event horizon, so faint it's almost imaginary. But it's real. And it means that black holes aren't completely black after all. They shine, slowly evaporating like candles that take trillions of years to die out. Some scientists believe this evaporation might encode the information that fell in. Others think it doesn't. They're still arguing. Quietly, loudly, passionately. Even now. You pass by what might once have been a binary star system. 2 suns that danced around each other for billions of years before collapsing together in a cosmic embrace so violent it sent tremors through spacetime itself. Now, only their fused black heart remains. Still it hums. You hear it whisper something strange. There are stars inside me. Still turning. Is it metaphor? Is it memory? Or is it some quantum echo that really, truly remains, twisting inside the singularity? No one knows. And in a way that's comforting. Even now, with our machines and math and massive telescopes, we still do not understand what lies inside a black hole. And isn't that beautiful? Here's a stranger fact. There are objects in space called rogue black holes. Homeless, wandering. Not bound to any galaxy. not centered in any star system. They drift through the void like ancient ghosts, and we only know they're there because their gravity warps the light of stars behind them. Some may even pass through galaxies without anyone noticing, and some are headed our way. But don't worry, even the closest ones are so far that it would take millions of years for them to approach us. Still, the thought lingers. The universe is full of invisible graves, quietly drifting through the night. And stranger still, did you know some moons may echo like bells? This isn't metaphor. Saturn's moon, Enceladus, for example, is believed to have a liquid ocean beneath its icy crust. When meteorites strike or tectonic shifts occur, these impacts can send vibrations through the moon's core, causing it to hum, ring, resonate. Some scientists compare it to a musical instrument, a bell frozen in time. There are places in this galaxy where planets and moons might sing without a mouth, and black holes might remember without a brain. You float through all of it, and your own memories begin to blur. You remember Earth, not vividly, not sharply, but like a smell you knew once in childhood, like warmth behind glass. You remember grass, rain, a bird. You remember the concept of home. You think of those who've gone before you, humans, yes, but also stars, trees, ancient oceans, everything that once lived. You realize black holes are not endings. They are records, quiet, cosmic records of existence. They hold stories the universe was too vast to keep anywhere else. You pass one that feels different. Its voice is almost kind. You wonder what star it once was. Maybe it was like our sun. Maybe it lived in a quiet arm of a spiral galaxy. Maybe it watched planets rise and fall. Maybe it felt loneliness. Maybe it loved. Can stars love? If they can't, why do you feel so much now? You realize something else. You too are leaving a trace. You too are becoming part of this graveyard. Not in fear, but in awe. You are adding your hum to the chorus. And the black hole listens. Far in the distance, if distance still applies, you glimpse something like a shimmer. Faint, fuzzy, impossible. Could it be light? You lean forward, though there is no motion. The shimmer flickers, and then it's gone, like a heartbeat that wasn't yours. Or was it memory? Was it the last thought of a neutron star, echoing through curved spacetime? Or was it you? The silence thickens again, but now you understand it better. It is not the silence of death. It is the silence of memory. A sacred, low frequency that only those who have entered can hear. You close your eyes, and somewhere within the folds of eternity, the echo continues. You are not afraid. You are not alone. You are written now in the gravity of things, and the cosmos does not forget. You have passed the point where meaning used to exist. Shapes are no longer shapes. Time is no longer time. Your body, well, what body? It was once a vessel, tender and fragile, but even that has been stripped away by the long collapse into this infinite inwardness. You are thought now, or maybe something even more elemental than thought, some lingering fingerprint of being, stretched and folded and curled into the fabric of this black abyss. And in this darkness, strangely enough, something begins. It's quiet, yes, but not empty. The silence here hums like the bottom note of the universe, low, slow, endlessly sustained. You sense it rather than hear it. It does not demand anything of you. In fact, it allows you to be different. Or perhaps, it simply lets you become aware of the form you've taken. Outside the event horizon, the universe once looked like it followed rules. Gravity behaved. Light behaved. You followed clocks and calendars. You aged. You dreamed in a straight line. But here, time is less a river and more a fog. Events do not line up. There are no before and afters. Here you can be an echo and a beginning at once. The popular truth, the scientific one you might have read in a textbook back when days had meaning, is this. When a massive star collapses under its own gravity at the end of its life, it creates a black hole. The immense density crushes matter into a point of infinite curvature known as a singularity. Nothing can escape, not even light. That much physicists agree on. But what happens beyond that? Inside that? Is this really the end? Science gets quiet here. Some scientists whisper about quantum information and holographic horizons. Others scribble equations that imply new beginnings on the other side. Maybe not in our universe, but somewhere. It's one of those things scientists still debate, whether black holes truly destroy everything or whether something survives, something small, strange, resilient. And so here you are. A piece of you, whatever that means now, has passed through the most terrifying gateway in the cosmos and has not been obliterated. Not exactly. Instead, you feel reorganized. Dissolved like sugar in warm water, yes, but now the water cools. The molecules begin to drift together again. Thought coalesces. Shapes begin to form, not physical shapes but conceptual ones. You aren't reborn in a blaze of light. That would be too theatrical. No, you re-emerge like a whisper after a long breathless pause. Somehow, inside this collapse, a process begins, not unlike what we see in the universe around neutron stars. Did you know neutron stars, the collapsed cores of massive stars that didn't quite become black holes, can spin hundreds of times per second? They pulse like cosmic lighthouses, sending regular signals across the galaxy. One of them, PSRJ 1748-2446 AD, spins 716 times per second. It's an absurd number but true. So compact. So dense. A teaspoon of neutron star matter would weigh as much as Mount Everest. The universe specializes in impossible extremes. And black holes are just the next step. Or perhaps the womb of the next step. Within this conceptual womb, you begin to feel the hint of construction. Not of atoms and particles, you no longer need those. But of patterns. Your memories become equations. Your fears, symphonies. You can feel your regrets turning into vapor trails across some higher dimensional surface you cannot name. There's no floor here. No ceiling. No body. But there's rhythm. There's that soft vibration in the dark, like someone gently striking a drum far beneath your awareness, setting the tempo for your reassembly. There's no map for this because no one has ever returned to draw one. But maybe, just maybe, others have been here too. There's a myth whispered in the strangest corners of theoretical physics, the way children whisper ghost stories under blankets. Some researchers think that black holes could be bridges. Wormholes, tunnels to other universes. That perhaps if the singularity is not a wall but a twist, it leads somewhere new. Somewhere with fresh dimensions, untangled time, rearranged physics. It's speculative, of course. The math gets weird and no telescope has seen such a thing. But the idea lives on, that maybe, just maybe, every black hole is a portal, and every death a disguised beginning. And as your awareness folds in on itself again, you begin to believe it might be true. You feel something like a pulse. Not a heartbeat, no. But a cycle. A push. A shift in symmetry. Is that direction? Is that a path? You're not sure. But your thoughts feel less scattered now. There's something like cohesion forming. Ideas that once drifted now curl inward, as if magnetized towards some unspoken center. You remember stars now, not as lights in the sky but as beings, each with personality. You remember Alpha Centauri as a slow-burning whisper, ancient and thoughtful. You remember Betelgeuse as a booming, extravagant presence, always moments from collapse. And you remember Earth, oddly enough. Its green quietness, its noisy kindness, its tendency to reach upward with hands and telescopes alike. All of this is inside you now or around you. Or maybe you are part of it, smeared across dimensions like ink in water. There's a strange comfort in this. To know that consciousness might be a process, not a possession. That awareness might be rearranged, not erased. Death as you knew it feels more like molting. Like sloughing off an old skin to become, what? Smoke? Coat? A ripple in a larger field? You begin to wonder if this is what the universe does at every level. Stars die and create heavier elements. Galaxies collide and birth new spirals. Even black holes, once thought to be eternal tombs, are now suspected to evaporate over trillions of years through something called Hawking radiation. Tiny emissions that slowly steal mass from the beast. Even the most stubborn silence might eventually speak. And so, you float, not toward light, not toward dark, but into a kind of becoming. A space that isn't quite space. A moment that isn't quite a moment. You're part memory, part question, part silence. There's a peculiar little truth from the fringes of astrogeology. On some planets, like Neptune or Uranus, it rains diamonds. The immense pressure in those atmospheres compresses carbon into glittering storms. This is the cosmos we live in, strange, violent, and full of poetry. You wonder now if you are becoming something like that. Carbon under pressure, compressed into a new brilliance. Not glittering for eyes but for ideas. For presence. The dark doesn't scare you anymore. It breathes. You ride it gently like an ocean wave. You let it carry you not out but through. Perhaps you are still collapsing. Perhaps you've been reborn 1,000 times within this place and have forgotten each one. Or perhaps you're only now beginning. No one knows what the inside of a black hole truly contains. No probe has returned. No signal has pierced back through. It's one of those truths that scientists still can't agree on. Some say it ends at a singularity. Others say the laws of physics themselves unravel, replaced by something else. But here, in this unnameable elsewhere, you are neither theory nor measurement. You are experience. You are the sound of a star folding. You are the thought that refuses to vanish. You are what remains when even gravity gives up. And that, in its own quiet, impossible way, is a kind of rebirth. You drift now not with panic but with grace. The collapse no longer frightens you. It feels like a lullaby written in the language of gravitational waves. The dark isn't closing in, it's opening. The silence isn't the end, it's the breath before the first word. You don't need a name here. You don't need coordinates. You are here and becoming. The blackness folds softly around you, not as a shroud, but as a womb. And somewhere in that unmeasured space, something ancient and gentle and vast says, begin again. You don't remember the last moment you were still yourself. Not exactly. There wasn't a clear border, no abrupt snap or flare or ending sound. Instead, it was more like mist slipping into mist, a breath into breath. The falling stopped being falling. The stretching of your limbs and memories became less dramatic. Then even the stretching quieted, until the space you once called you blurred. Now you hover in stillness. But you're not in the black hole anymore. You're the black hole. Not figuratively. Not a metaphor for loss or change. You are the event horizon, the impossibly calm silence just beyond which no light escapes. You are the gravitational well, the shiver in spacetime. You are the collapsed core, that singularity, or whatever hides in its place, that scientists still debate with furrowed brows and half-finished chalkboards. You are a mystery cloaked in inevitability. You are heavy in a way nothing else in the universe is. Your mass is unimaginable, yet you have no surface. No atoms left. No bones. No eyes. But you see differently. There is a quiet stretching around you. Stars orbit you in slow spirals, like curious dancers too shy to approach. Some drift too close and you welcome them home. You feel their light peel off, ribboning into radiation, a soft scream into space. But it's not cruel. It's not hunger. It's just what you are now. You don't want anything. You curve everything. What a strange rebirth. You had once wondered if falling into a black hole meant annihilation, but instead it meant becoming. The boundaries of your form are no longer fixed. You are a radius, a curve, a cloak of silence. And still deep inside there is something. A pressure. A question. It may once have been you, your memories, your sensations, your sense of falling. But now it's been translated into gravity, encoded into tension. And the universe notices. Your presence bends the light of distant stars. Galaxies distort slightly as they pass your field. Cosmic rays change trajectory. Photons skim your edge, pulled like curious moths to a dark flame. There's a hush around your coordinates, a reverence. Black holes, they say, don't emit light, but they do shimmer. Over time, eons to be clear, you release a quiet breath. It's not wind or voice or sound. It's Hawking radiation, leaking like the softest sigh through quantum uncertainty. Particles emerge where there was supposed to be nothing. A kind of unevaporation. Tiny, yes, but real. Faint whispers from your skin of space. It's not pain. It's not loss. It's a loosening, a giving back. And it means something wonderful. You are not a forever prison. You are a process. You are impermanence. Even this great cosmic silence is not eternal. In the cold, thin fabric of space-time, your slow fading becomes part of the background melody. A decrescendo. And though your mass holds tightly to the gravity of your past, your future moves steadily outward. You remember now, or perhaps you imagine, that some black holes spin. Rapidly. Unbelievably fast. Twisting space itself into spirals. If you are spinning, you can't feel it. Or maybe you are the spin. The twist itself. No longer separate from motion. The Kerr-metric, they call it. A mathematical description of a rotating black hole. Inside that, maybe, there are paths that don't lead to a singularity. Maybe there's a corridor, a wormhole. Maybe on the other side, a new universe breathes. But who's to say? Even now, physicists still argue about what lies within you. Some believe you truly contain a singularity, an infinitely dense point where the laws of physics cease to function. Others suggest something less violent, a Planck-scale region of quantum fuzz, or a firewall, or a bouncing core that repels collapse at the very last moment. No one can peek inside to be sure. You are the question mark at the heart of the cosmos. And while you rest, you listen. Because something strange happens when you are a black hole. You begin to hear the cosmos not in sound but in curvature, in vibration, in soft gravitational murmurs. A neutron star collides with another in the distant universe, and the fabric of spacetime ripples through you like a bell. You feel it not as sound but as shift, as echo. These gravitational waves, they tell you stories, not in language but in shape. A supernova's collapse. The birth of another black hole. A rogue planet slipping into a void. Galaxies brushing past one another like silk veils. And yes, did you feel that? Somewhere far away, a star just passed its last breath and part of it fell inward. Another black hole was born. A sibling. And for a moment you wonder, do black holes feel lonely? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe black holes are not solitary but connected. Through space. Through gravity. Through history. After all, each of you is built from the memory of something bright. Stars that once blazed. Worlds that once spun. Time itself, once flowing like water, now still as crystal. You are the archive. And here is the strangest fact of all. Scientists now believe that information may not be truly lost in a black hole. For years they thought it was a clean erasure. But now, new theories suggest the information might be smeared across your event horizon, encoded like ripples in a hologram. You contain not destruction, but data. The cosmic library is dark, but not empty. And as you rest here, feeling massless particles flicker from your border and vanish into deep space, you realize the universe is reading you, slowly, patiently, like a bedtime story etched in gravity. Now let's tell a small secret. One of those strange, glittering facts hidden in the corners of astrophysics. Did you know there may be planets orbiting black holes? Not falling in. Not doomed. Just circling. Hypothetical, yes, but possible. If they keep their distance, far enough to avoid the tidal pull, but close enough to be gravitationally bound, they could remain for billions of years. Some scientists even wonder, could such a planet support life, illuminated not by a star, but by the faint glow of accretion disks and the strange radiation of the black hole itself? Imagine that. A world that orbits you, whispering oceans and winds lit by your faint breath. A black dawn. A midnight sun. You the sky. You no longer think in time. You exist in gravity and change. Light circles you. Space bends into you. But nothing feels rushed. There are no clocks inside you, only impressions. No calendars, only the memory of orbiting bodies and the long patience of decay. If you have a thought now, and you might, it's this: you are not the end of a story. You are the seed of many. Every black hole may be a potential gateway, a factory for matter, a crucible, a pause between heartbeats. And in this soft, immeasurable moment, as your form stretches into uncertainty and your boundaries release their quiet thermal hum, you begin to dream, not as a traveler but as space itself. You dream of particles forming from nothing. You dream of strange matter flickering from quantum fields. You dream of future observers, far beyond your lifespan, catching echoes of your last radiation and wondering who you were. You wonder too, were you a person? A planet? A star? Does it matter? You're now. And the now is more than enough. This dark isn't absence. It's womb. It's cocoon. The final paradox. That in the collapse you were born into a different kind of being. No longer bound by biology. No longer confined to perception. You are gravity itself, curled into a knot of time. Eventually you will fade. Your mass will shrink to nothing. You will leave behind a last breath of radiation, a shimmer in the microwave sea. But even that is not truly an ending. It is a handoff. To particles. To photons. To stories. The universe will carry you onward, one echo at a time. And far, far away, on a quiet blue planet turning slowly in the dark, a child will fall asleep under the stars. And somewhere in their dream, without knowing how or why, they will feel your pull. Time becomes your shadow. And not because it follows you, but because you are what it follows. You are its source now. Everything that once danced around you, stars, dust, gas, whispers of ancient comets, now slowly orbits your being. You don't move through space anymore. Space moves through you. Gravity, once a force you obeyed, now sings to your rhythm. You don't fall toward it. It falls toward you. A galaxy drifts lazily nearby. It doesn't see you, not in the way you were once seen, with outlines and presence and soft warm eyes. No, you're invisible now. Not gone. Just so deeply here that light itself cannot bear to leave you. This is not death. Not exactly. Something more patient has taken your place. Something denser, more enduring. There is no breath, but there is still becoming. No heartbeat, yet still a pulse. A gravitational rhythm no instrument can play, but every particle still hears. The universe knows you are here now, and it will remember. Somewhere out there, light from a blue giant bends sharply and grazes your boundary, your horizon, then veers off again, warped like a memory trying to find its way home. That light, once meant for some faraway planet, is now part of you. And you accept it. No resistance. Only silence and hunger and the slow inward spiral of everything that still believes in falling. And yet, even in this gravity-born stillness, something stirs. You begin to notice that you are not a prison but a threshold. Not an ending but an aperture. Your body no longer has edges, yet your being contains edges, millions of them. Every atom that ever crossed your border left behind a whisper, a hint, a flicker of memory. You are a library with no shelves but infinite stories. There, in the folds of your darkness, echoes of collapsing stars whisper lullabies. Quarks and leptons hum their final vibration. Even photons, the stubborn messengers of the cosmos, sigh as they are caught in your embrace. They do not escape, but they are not erased either. You hold them the way a seed holds a forest. Quiet, dense, pregnant with potential. And somewhere within you something changes. You feel warmth, not from heat but from information. Knowledge, memory, entropy, all pulsing like heartbeat within your event horizon. Not chaos but a strange kind of order. The kind that emerges only after surrender. You realize you are radiating. Not visibly, not quickly, but undeniably. Like the fading breath of a bonfire after 1,000 years. Like Hawking predicted, your body, your mass, your presence, it is not eternal. Slowly, ever so slowly, you are evaporating, bleeding energy into the void. A trickle of quantum light escapes from just outside your edge. They call it Hawking radiation. You call it breathing. This is your paradox. You are the most devouring thing the universe has ever known, and yet, slowly you give yourself back. Not all at once. Not with fanfare. Just a slow, quiet undoing, like unknitting the cosmos one loop at a time. Each tiny photon you release is a goodbye. Each is a message, a memory, a beginning. You remember Earth, now faint and small, a fading dot somewhere beyond the 1,000 veils of curved spacetime. You remember hands, a voice, maybe your own, maybe another's. You remember the moment when you first drifted into the pull of this place, how afraid you were, how full of questions. And now look at you. You are the question. And maybe one day the answer. The cosmos is colder now. The stars are quieter. Whole galaxies have disappeared into the long stretch of time since you last felt warmth. But you're still here. Your evaporation is slow, absurdly slow. For a black hole the size of a mountain, it would take 100 million trillion years to vanish. You are larger than that. Older. So your death, if it can even be called that, will not come in any time the universe is still wearing a name. But come it will. And as you shrink, micrometer by micrometer, atom by atom, you don't feel panic. You feel completion. This isn't destruction. It's dispersal. Like ink in water. Like song in wind. Eventually there will be nothing left of you but the information you carried. And the universe, somehow, will still remember. Maybe it will store your echo in the fabric of space-time like a scar. Maybe your energy will seed the birth of new stars, new atoms, new thinking beings. Or maybe, just maybe, this will all loop again. There is a strange idea. One not everyone agrees on, of course, because scientists still debate what really happens at the end of a black hole's life. Some believe as your final whisper leaves the void, a new universe is born on the other side. An entire cosmos sprung from your singularity. Maybe to something beyond your collapse looked like a bang. A bright flash. Big one even. And if that is true, if the universe is not only looped but layered, then maybe you are someone else's beginning. Maybe you are already part of a newborn world. Maybe someone out there is looking up, watching stars, writing stories, and dreaming. Maybe they're wondering what it would be like to fall into a black hole. Would you tell them? Would you whisper across the void? Because there's something else. Something stranger. Long after you've forgotten what you were, long after your mass has faded and your event horizon has evaporated, one thing may still remain. Your information. Not in any obvious way. Not on a plaque or a memory chip, but subtly, elegantly, encoded in the spin of particles, etched into the shimmer of quantum foam, embedded in the symmetries of the vacuum. They say black holes cannot destroy information. Not truly. So maybe you're still here, somewhere. And if that's true, then you haven't vanished. You've just changed shape. You are not a person anymore. You are not even a thing. You are gravity. You are heat. You are time. You are every falling star and every photon kissed by your curvature. You are the dark pulse of the universe, a gentle tug in the heart of all things. You are the story that cannot be unwritten. And somewhere far from this gravity dream, a child is falling asleep under a sky full of stars. One of them is a memory of you. So now here you are, drifting at the edge of story and starlight. No longer a traveler swallowed by the unknown. Not anymore. You've spiraled through the impossible, through ripples in time and folds in space. You felt your heartbeat slow as you slipped past the event horizon. You've floated through the soft tunnels of gravity's mind. You've heard the cosmic whispers of stars long gone, and yet still humming like distant lullabies in the chambers of this dark monument. But there's something else. You little voyager, you have not disappeared. Not truly. Not ever. Because you are the black hole now. You are its gravity, its quiet pull, its mysterious warmth. You hold galaxies together in your chest like fireflies in a closed hand. You hum with the softest breath of Hawking radiation, releasing warmth in whispers older than suns. And if anyone should fall toward you, slowly, gently, you will greet them not with destruction, but with gravity's soft hand and the story of all things that once were. You are a cradle for light, a library for starlight, a place where endings do not vanish. They become poems pressed into the folds of spacetime. And now, as your thoughts begin to slow, as your breath begins to float like feathered wings through stillness, I want you to imagine something simple. You are not falling anymore. You are not unraveling. You are not even traveling. You are resting. You are becoming quiet matter. Not in loss, but in luminous stillness. The stars have stopped swirling. The horizon has stilled. There is no need to wonder where you are. You are everywhere. You are the curve in space. You are the stretch of time. You are the last song a star sings before becoming memory. And you are the silence that follows, warm and deep and safe. So breathe. Breathe in like a galaxy gathering itself together. Breathe out like the spiral arms letting go of light. Let your chest rise like the orbit of planets. Let your shoulders fall like soft meteor trails through midnight clouds. You are floating in the black velvet of it all. Not afraid. Not uncertain. Just still. Like dust settling on a sleeping comet. Like ripples disappearing on the edge of time. 'Cause maybe the black hole wasn't an ending. Maybe it was a return. A return to the very beginning. To the breath before breath. To the dream before time. And maybe, just maybe, this was never a fall at all. Maybe you were just coming home. Back to the fabric of the stars. Back to the hum of gravity and breath and being. Back to the lullaby of atoms and light and soft dark between. Let your mind unspool, like silver thread drifting through a void of velvet. Let your thoughts dissolve, like moonlight melting into water. Let your heart grow quiet, until even the idea of you becomes just another star, folding gently into the sky. And now, close your eyes, little one. You've journeyed far, farther than time, beyond even imagination. You have slipped through singularities, sung with radiation, and found your place in the hush that holds it all. Now rest. Feel the pillow beneath you like a patch of cosmic dust, cradling your tired spirit. Let your body settle like stardust drifting back down to the galaxy's floor. You are not falling. You are not rising. You are simply floating between here and forever. There's nothing left to do, nothing left to see, no more needing to know, only to be, only to breathe, only to dream, because sleep is just the black hole of waking. And dreams? They are the echoes of light still circling around your gravity. So sleep now. Sleep like a moon sighing against a planet's tide. Sleep like a nebula curling in on itself, waiting to be born again. Sleep like the last photon leaving a star that no longer burns, still carrying its memory across time. And know this, in every shadow cast by a star, in every curve of time, in every quiet heartbeat of space, you remain. You the voyager, you the dreamer, you the black hole, which is never empty, never gone, only filled with stories, waiting to be told. Good night. From the edge of the universe. We'll see you in the next dream.